elderly and vulnerable people out of thousands of pounds. One 84-year-old woman from Hertfordshire has lost more than £20,000. More from Tony Fisher.
Members of the gang contacted the elderly lady from Bishop Stortford every day for 30 days to get money. St Albans Crown Court was told how they used special apps downloaded onto a mobile phone to get their victims' PIN numbers. They made more than 1,000 cold calls to members of the public pretending to be police officers. The gang of 5 men, who all live in Camden, were jailed for a total of more than 17 years.
A police office in Woburn Sands near Milton Keynes, which is staffed by volunteers, is closing today as the Thames Valley Force tries to save money. Next month, another office in Olney will also close. MPs will decide today whether or not IVF babies can be born with genetic material that comes from 3 people. The DNA would come from a child's mother and father and a second woman. Scientists are convinced this would help avoid inherited diseases, but Christian leaders say there are ethical and safety concerns. James Kitto's 3-year-old daughter has a genetic condition.
It's such an important milestone to allow a potentially devastating disease to be removed from future generations. It seems really a no-brainer not to allow this to be utilised, given how well tested it's been.
Police in Milton Keynes have released CCTV images after an attempted armed robbery at a Starbucks coffee shop on Saturday evening. The man who had a pistol tried to rob the shop in Eldergate at about 7 p.m, but left empty-handed when the shop assistant refused to hand over cash. In sport, Milton Keynes Dons teenager Dele Alli has joined Tottenham in a reported £5 million deal, but the 18-year-old will be loaned back to the Dons for the rest of the season. One of the most amazing transfers ahead of last night's deadline saw young striker Kishi Anderson swap a Bedfordshire Village side for the Premier League. He's left Barton Rovers to join Crystal Palace. The weather, an icy start with occasional sleet or snow showers, brighter this afternoon but staying cold in northerly winds, a maximum temperature 5 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Morning, guys. Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Boy, oh boy, we've got the Octo team with us today. Boyle.
Yeah.
Betts.
Yes.
And unfortunately, due to a complete mix-up in planning, Matt Lockwood.
I'm back.
Yeah. Why is he back, Catherine?
Short straw.
OK. Oh, don't be so rude about... He can't help it if he's got a short straw. On the show this morning, Broxbourne calls in the A-team. Scammers work as a tag team. Yeah, guys, sorry. Guys, I'm doing a radio show and you keep hitting the button that means I can hear exactly what you're saying, so maybe you could stop playing with that box there, please? Would that be OK? Yeah, stop. Oh, for goodness. Stop playing with that box! I can hit yes! Unbelievable. Catherine, can you believe that?
No.
Well.
I can believe it. I'm watching it, but I can barely believe it.
Can you barely believe it?
Barely.
Unbelievable. Don't touch that box!
Mate,
What are you
technology
doing,
means that Matthew Lockwood can't hear anything you say in here, so can he come in there with you?
No, he
It's not
cannot.
the technology that means that.
No, listen, hang on a second. I've got this worked out.
Beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
The reason Lockwood is here is because Justin Dealey is on holiday with Cliff Richard. That's actually true. We have seen a photo.
I've seen the footage.
So, Lockwood is supposed to be Dealey. Dealey goes outside. It's been snowing. It's Arctic temperatures out there, so Lockwood should go and stand outside.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
And I think what we should do is we should see how long can a man survive in the cold without a coat. It's science. It's basic science.
Are we going to send him out with a thermometer or something?
No, don't even need a microphone.
Device.
Just let him go and stand outside. We'll see how long a man can stand outside without a coat, and get him to take that jumper off as well.
Long stand in the snow.
Yeah. Do you accept the challenge, Matt?
Yes.
There we go, he's accepted it. Beautiful.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, it's emerged that the Broxbourne Borough Council has hired ex-soldiers to catch people dropping cigarette butts and crisp packets. They've only gone and brought the A-team in to get litter bugs. Kingdom Security takes a £40 cut of every fine issued, which, when you think they dished out almost 3,500 penalties from 2011 to 2012, and are set to do the same this year, well, it's been a nice little earner, isn't it, Catherine?
Certainly has. I'm in the wrong business.
Yeah, well, yes. And by the way, most councils dish out a maximum of 50 litter fines a year, making Broxbourne the 6th biggest fining council in the country. Well, Josie Appleton is the founder of the Manifesto Club. Morning, Josie.
Good morning.
What do you think about this kind of regulation? Sounds like a good idea, doesn't it?
I think there's a fundamental problem when you have private companies with a financial incentive issuing fines. I think it's an important principle that fining and punishment for offences is a public service in the public interest and not by people who are essentially on some form of commission, and a private company at the end of the day has to make its profit. So this company has to issue a certain number of fines a year. And what you've had in other areas is essentially people being fined for very minor things. So a woman dropped a bit of orange peel, another woman a bit of cotton fell off her glove by accident, she got fined. Old ladies walking in parks they didn't know were no dog zones and didn't have signs up. I think that the general tendency when you have this sort of incentive is to have the A-team, as you call them, hiding around corners, jumping out at people, kind of saying "got you," which really shouldn't be the approach of fining for public service.
We do have a problem with litter, though, don't we? And if you drop some orange peel on the floor, well, that's inappropriate.
I think it's a question of a proportion, a question of principle. I think that. A matchstick or an orange peel, a little bit of orange peel, especially in a hedge or something. There was one guy who got fined for putting an apple in the hedge, which he didn't think of as any kind of offence because he's recycling it. You've got to have a sense of proportion. Yeah. But I think the main problem.
If we all put apples in hedges, though, that would be horrible.
Well, not in a little village. No. I think.
Even more so. Yeah, but even more so. But the thing is, there does have to be standards, and we do have problems with litter.
No, there do have to be standards, but litter is one of those areas that, in the 50s, people would throw things everywhere, and you go to the top of the lakes, and on the top there would be sandwich wrappers, and it was perfectly acceptable to throw your litter. That's no longer the case, and I think that what changed over that period was not fining, actually, but was people's sense of public responsibility in a sense that this is unacceptable. I think ultimately that's the main sanction, because you can never have a litter warden around every corner. You're talking 2-3 guys in an area who are giving out these fines.
Yeah.
Really, in the end of the day, they're not going to get every offence, but they're going to look for offences in a way to make their tally. But at the end of the day, you really want other people around saying, "Excuse me, mate, that's unacceptable. Pick that up," or picking it up yourself. I have friends who pick up litter. I do myself. I think it's more a question of public responsibility than.
Oh, I pick up litter, and I'm teaching. Where were we? We were in Henley the other day, in this nice little walk by the river, and there was loads of rubbish by there. And so me and my boys spent 5 minutes picking up the rubbish, and that's. But I would be reluctant to go up to some big bloke who's just chucked a crisp packet or a fag on the floor and say, "Excuse me, mate," because you never know what you might get these days.
No, of course, and obviously people have to judge these things. That not kind of, saying kind of everyone becomes litter police or anything. I think the main thing is that it's one of those things like politeness and being nice to people in public and that sort of thing, which is really a question of public responsibility and more than it can be a question of punitive powers. You don't want the police focusing on people dropping litter. They're going to deal with burglary and aggravated assaults and all that sort of thing, right? So in a way, it's one of those areas which really should be regulated, ideally among the public. And I think as a last resort, it should be used definitely, particularly fly tipping, which is absolutely disgusting. People just chucking takeaway bags out the window. But But I think the kind of everyday, and often people dropping by accident are being fined. I think that's an important distinction to make, that actually you have to mean to drop it and be a willful litter. And not
perhaps there should be the option for someone to say, you've dropped that, you're going to pick it up. And perhaps if they say no, then the fine perhaps could be issued.
Exactly. And I think that what's significant is that often people say, oh, sorry, I didn't realise it, I'll pick it up. And they say, no, it's too late now. Too late. Because they say, the warden thinks, oh, I've got my hit now. No way I'm going to let you off.
Josie, it's really interesting talking to you. Thanks for your time this morning.
OK, thank you.
Thank you very much. Josie Appleton, founder of the Manifesto Club. Thoughts on that, please? Because I can see... I like the idea of... First of all, ex-military, they're being employed. Great. Our boys and girls who've served us well, they're being employed. A little bit of a come down from, sorting out the Taliban in Afghanistan to sorting out the litter bugs in Watford.
But still, they've got skills.
They've got skills. But yes, there should be the option of, excuse me, you've dropped an apple in a bush. Pick it up. Get stuffed. You're fined.
But then what's in it for the security company? They need fines.
Your voice is a little bit croaky today. Go on.
No, I'm I've got a bit of a chest weasel.
Hey! Well, it's been great working with you this week, Catherine. You made it to Tuesday.
And this is the end of my illness.
You made it to Tuesday. Matt, I hope you're in for the rest of the week. Matt. We're going to need you. What is he doing?
Reading.
Flipping heck.
Tu veux ou tu veux pas? Tu veux, c'est bien. Si tu veux pas, tant pis. Si tu veux pas, j'en ferai pas une maladie. Oui, mais voilà, réponds-moi non ou bien oui. C'est comme ci ou comme ça. Ou tu veux pas. Tu veux ou tu veux pas? Toi, tu dis noir et après, tu dis blanc. C'est noir, oui, mais si c'est blanc, c'est blanc. C'est noir ou blanc, mais ce n'est pas noir et blanc. C'est comme ci ou comme ça, ou tu veux pas. La vie, oui, c'est une gymnastique, et c'est comme la musique, il y a du mauvais et du bon. La vie, pour moi, elle est magnifique. Pourquoi tu te la compliques par des hésitations? Tu veux ou tu veux pas? Tu veux, c'est bien. Si tu veux pas, tant pis. Si tu veux pas, j'en ferai pas une maladie. Oui, mais voilà, réponds-moi non ou bien oui. C'est comme ci ou comme ça. Ou tu veux pas. La vie, elle peut être très douce, à condition que tu la pousses dans la bonne direction. La vie, elle est là, elle nous appelle. Avec toi, elle sera belle. Si tu viens à la maison, tu veux ou tu veux pas?
Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It's snowing. I wonder if any schools... It's not snowing, it's been snow. I wonder if any schools are going to do the... it's too snowy to come in, so we're going to close the school.
The roads are actually all right on my way in, mid-Bedfordshire inwards, and on your way in from outside the area, we don't mention where.
Whoa, already you've given away too much information. Of course I'm local and vocal. But I wonder if there'll be any schools that go I can't, it's a little bit too cold.
It's normally the boiler that goes or something, isn't it?
It's too cold, we're not going to school today.
Stop it.
We're going to stay at home. The teacher that we're going to stay at home watch Jeremy Kyle.
He's actually finished. We just watched the end of it.
Oh, no, they'll show it again. That's a repeat.
Oh, OK.
08459 455.
Got a text from Jay.
Excellent. I got Moonlight Shadow.
Oh, no.
No, I got this. We'll do Jay in a minute.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, it's been snowing outside, but the main routes are looking cleared on the cameras. It's just very wet, so it might be slippy on the back roads and untreated roads. Looking at the cameras, it's looking fine on the M40, and there are no delays showing up on the speed sensors on the M25. On the A41 Standing Way in Milton Keynes, there's roadworks around the Kingston roundabout, which is looking fine at the moment on the speed sensors, but expect delays there later on. There's some problems on the trains, though. There's been a signal failure, so there are half-hour delays to and from London Euston because of that signal failure. It's affecting Virgin, London Midland and Southern services. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. 6:16. It's Tuesday, the 3rd of February. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A Hertfordshire council has been criticised for using a private security company to issue litter fines. A judge has described a gang of phone scammers who posed as police officers as mean and cynical. And in sport, Milton Keynes Dons teenager Dele Alli has joined Tottenham for a reported £5 million.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
BBC Sport.
Huge game for both countries. You can't help but love it. It rings in your ears. Wonderful atmosphere. The anthems were rousing.
The Six Nations, the friendliest of rivalries. Until...
Blood and thunder, the home team.
Absolutely giving him both barrels.
Oh, he's tackled after he kicked the ball. A surge to the line. The fly half beating two defenders on the line.
Rugby's greatest championship, the Six Nations. Starts on Friday with Wales versus England from 8:05 across the BBC.
Maybe brushing your hair with the wind, riding your bike up on Mulholland Drive. Oh, I got a 5-minute rush from you in your faded blue jeans. How many years is it you've been alive? Oh, I'll take a guess. Rebecca, could it be 18, 19 or so? Ooh, Rebecca, will I ever know? How would I fit in your life? How could you live with a man without change? Too strange and too proud to be trusted. Busted a couple of times, shaken a bit by the years on the road and the women I've known. Rebecca, you'd have liked the name I gave to you. Ooh, Rebecca, if you only knew. Go home to your father's friends, stray sons. To your mother's friends, sweet ones. To those families, well-to-do and so well-established. And one day, you might wake up to a shotgun. What does it come to? Be sensible life, the wife of a fool. Rebecca, reading magazines, eating chic salon. Ooh, Rebecca, where's Rebecca gone?
Morning. That's my new obsession. Flo and Eddie, the Turtles in the 70s. They're good, man. They're good. Also, the backing singers for Mark Bolan as well. It's them on Get It, Get It, Get It...
Off.
That's the fella. That's them doing that. Got some very sad news on the front page of the Daily Express. Not the new pill that can cure diabetes. That's brilliant, although it's not true. Susanna Reid, breakfast TV star, reveals secret agony. She reveals her secret agony, Catherine.
Oh no, what's the matter with her?
Got to turn to page 3 to find out what it is. I'm guessing some kind of... Or, maybe she's lost... I don't know. Page 3. Hang on. My distress at knowing I'll never hear silence again. Susanna's tinnitus agony. The front page. Breakfast TV star reveals secret... I've got tinnitus!
Me too.
Huh?
Huh?
Television presenter. We like Susanna Reid on this show. Yeah. Friend of the show.
Someone seized on a fraction of an interview there, haven't they?
Television presenter Susanna Reid yesterday revealed her struggle with a debilitating hearing condition. I've got tinnitus, and it's flippin' annoying, and sometimes it drives you a bit nuts, but it ain't going to kill me, although it does drive some people to suicide. The Good Morning Britain host told viewers she has suffered for a decade with tinnitus. Me too. In severe cases, the ailment... sufferers endure constant ringing, pounding or white noise in their ears, can be so distressing it can lead to suicide. So maybe she's close to suicide.
No, she's not. She's only got a mild version.
Oh, yeah. While her condition is relatively mild, Miss Reid said when the symptoms began, it was nevertheless extremely alarming and upsetting. It's tinnitus! I've got tinnitus. My left ear whistles. It's quite a high-pitched whistle, and the right ear is kind of like a windy noise.
I can hear plugs.
Sorry?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I can hear when a plug's on.
What does that even mean?
Wait,
I can hear it buzzing.
Ian, do you hear that all the time?
Only when it's silent or if I really think about it. I couldn't hear it now because I'm talking. If I were to take these headphones off and listen, I would hear it. In bed, I can hear it, which is why I have the radio on when I go to sleep.
There's no such thing as silence anyway. Not in the modern world.
Well, yes, there is.
No.
Well, there is. It's silence.
No,
it's when everything's quiet.
Shush then. You can hear the fan.
Yeah, well, that's because if you're in the...
you breathing.
I'll hear you crying in a minute when I tell you a few home truths.
Oh.
If you're in a... Anyway, but you're being petulant.
Well, you started it.
I did not. I might have done. I'll have to listen back to the tape. I'll have to listen back to the... If I did, I'll apologise.
No, you won't.
No. But it is annoying.
Yeah.
Do you know what tinnitus sounds like? I found there's a website that's got recordings of what tinnitus sounds like. It's annoying.
You've done the noise for me before. Haven't you got two different tones in each ear?
That's the left ear. She's doing my left ear. But it's higher.
Yeah, I get that. But only triggered off by certain frequencies.
And then the right ear's...
I think that's just me and Kath being either side of you.
Don't do that because that is subliminal messaging.
Well, how subliminal is that?
That's a very obvious message.
Thank you very much indeed. Lockwood!
Hello. That sounds horrendous, what you have. I'm so glad I do not have that.
Well, the thing is, if you keep working in this industry, you'll get it, because we wear headphones. We're doing this. We are putting our lives on the line every time we come in this studio.
I could not cope. I'd go mad. I'd just be, going round in circles, knocking on walls and bashing my head and having to drink
How would we notice
alcohol.
that change?
I'd be going raving mad.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now! The Independent Police Complaints... Numbers coming up here, guys, so put your thinking caps on. The Independent Police Complaints Commission's announced it's dealing with a 15% increase in police complaints. But the rise has been significantly greater in Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire. In Bedfordshire, the figure's up by 29%, while Hertfordshire's seen a 25% increase. Well, Lockers has got more maths and explanations for us. Why are the increases so much more in Beds and Herts?
First of all, when I wrote this story last night, I apologise for all the figures I put into it. I wasn't thinking about this time of the morning, so, as I say. Right, the IPCC says some of the increase last year is down to the definition of a complaint being broadened beyond an officer's conduct. Now, a complaint case may have one or more allegations attached to it. A total of 751 allegations were made against Bedfordshire Police in 2013. Are you still with me?
Yes.
Up 42% from the previous year. Meanwhile, there were 1,283 allegations made against Hertfordshire Police, a rise of 27% the previous year. The number of allegations in the Thames Valley area was up by the smallest amount, just 3%, with 1,699 allegations. Bear in mind, that's a massive police area. Now, across England and Wales, the highest number of complaints were regarding police neglect or failure in duty, followed by complaints about police being rude or intolerant.
The police? Rude? Intolerant? I'll have none of it. It's interesting that the IPCC say it's down to the increase is down to the definition of a complaint being broadened. It still doesn't alter the fact that the national average is 15%, but in Bedfordshire it's nearly 30, but nearly double that. Is this concerning, Matt?
Well, the IPCC is certainly concerned about this. Dame Anne Owen says the figures are obviously worrying and showed police forces were not handling complaints sufficiently well. She said the IPC upheld 49% of appeals from people whose complaints were not even recorded in the first place, as well as 44% of appeals from those whose complaints have been investigated by the local force. And she says other things, but that's kind of the gist of what she's saying there.
What do the police have to say?
Well, Chief Superintendent Gavin Thomas, Vice President of the Police Superintendents Association, said his reaction to the figures was disappointment, but said cuts to the police force was not helping the situation.
Oh, here we go. So, yeah, because there have been cuts to the police force, that's why they're being ruder or getting more complaints. OK, yeah, go on, carry on.
I mean, that seems like a bit of an excuse to me. The Home Office is currently reviewing police complaints procedures with the aim of simplifying the system and making it more transparent.
OK, well, Lockers, thank you very much indeed.
That wasn't too bad, was it, really?
No, it was great.
Yeah.
Excellently done.
Yeah.
Catherine cut loads out, and so it was good.
Yeah, I'd be going raving mad.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
What? I don't know why you're still here.
I just wanted to tell you yesterday that perhaps I'm a little bit low because I had too many carbohydrates. Basically, for breakfast, I had 3 potato waffles. Then for lunch, I had some chips.
Literally couldn't care.
And then for dinner, I had some chips.
Less.
You've got too much beige in your diet, look.
And then I had 4 slices of toast for supper.
Beige?
What? Why are you telling me this now? I'm trying to do a radio show, mate. You should be telling this to, I don't know, your mum or something.
Well, my mum's up north, you see, so I don't really have a chance to...
Do you look at me as a surrogate mother?
I think I do.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Bend it just a little bit and take it easy. Show you're liking it and love it. You know that we're gonna hit the heights, but I'm sure that we're made to fit together, just like these as are the jigsaw puzzle. What's the hustle? Bend it just a little more without you, baby. I'm so insecure that you can make me feel that I am sure I got a sickness only you can cure. So just relax, there's like some time, but honey, please don't tease me. Try to please me.
Is it about a gap year?
Bend it just a little bit and take it easy. Show you're liking it and love it. You know that we're gonna hit the heights, 'cause I'm sure that we're made to fit together, just like these heads are the jigsaw puzzle. What's the hustle? Bend it just a little bit and take it easy. Show you're liking it. Show me now. Yeah, that's
It's like killing a bee with a bazooka.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There are some problems on the trains this morning. There's half-hour delays on services between Milton Keynes and London Euston because of a signal failure, so that's affecting Virgin, London Midland and Southern services. There's also possible delays on Thameslink trains between St Albans and Mitcham Junction as well because of safety checks being made on the line. We've just heard from caller Mick, who said on the A413 in Aylesbury, between Aylesbury and Great Missenden, that's not been gritted, so there are some cars there spinning around. Looking at the speed sensors in Bricketwood on the North Orbital Road, it's looking very busy around the M25 junction 21A roundabout. Also looking quite slow on the A1 Watford Way from the Apex corner to Mill Hill Circus. And in High Wycombe, looking at the A40, that's moving fine at the moment, but there are roadworks in both directions at Temple Street, so expect delays later on. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6:30. I'm Simon Oxley. A Hertfordshire council has been criticised for using a private security company to issue litter fines. Broxbourne Borough Council hands out thousands of fines every year, while neighbouring authorities issue only a handful. A judge has condemned a gang of phone scammers who posed as police officers after they conned elderly and vulnerable people out of thousands of pounds. One 84-year-old woman from Hertfordshire lost more than £20,000. And MPs will decide today whether or not IVF babies can be born with genetic material that comes from 3 people. The DNA would come from a child's mother and father and a second woman.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Milton Keynes Dons teenager Dele Alli has joined Tottenham in a reported £5 million deal, but he will still play a part in the Dons League One promotion challenge. The Dons also welcome back a former captain, and there were arrivals at Luton and Stevenage ahead of last night's deadline, as Jeff Doyle reports.
As expected, Dele Alli completed his move to Tottenham for around £5 million plus add-ons, signing a 5.5-year contract. He's been loaned back to MK for the rest of the season. The Dons have also signed former player Keith Andrews on loan from Bolton, having had his Watford loan cut short. Watford midfielder Lewis McGugan has gone back to Sheffield Wednesday on loan. Luton have signed Tottenham's young striker Nathan Aduwa on loan, and Stevenage have loaned QPR winger Bruno Andrade and striker Danny Johnson from Cardiff.
Luton also extended the loan of striker Jayden Stockley, but were unable to complete a third deal last night, despite what the club has described as extensive negotiations. Chelsea's £23 million signing of the Colombia winger Juan Cuadrado was the biggest deal yesterday. They sold Germany's Andre Schürrle to Wolfsburg for £22 million. Darren Fletcher left Manchester United for West Brom. Aaron Lennon has moved on loan from Tottenham to Everton. One of the most amazing transfers last night saw young striker Keishi Anderson swap a Bedfordshire Village side for the Premier League. He's left Barton Rovers in the Southern League Division 1 Central to join Crystal Palace, a move of 7 divisions up the football pyramid for an undisclosed fee. Barton's chairman is Darren Wiley.
Crystal Palace weren't the only big club that was in for him. Norwich were looking at him, Brentford. Brentford is where it all came about last week. We got him a trial down there. He came off the bench on 65 minutes and scored a perfect hat-trick in 6 minutes. It was against Crystal Palace, which highlighted them to him.
Elsewhere, Watford have successfully appealed against Gabriel Angela's controversial red card in the first minute of Friday night's defeat at Bournemouth. It means he can play at home to Blackburn on Saturday. Tonight's FA Cup fourth-round replays include Manchester United versus Cambridge, and in Conference South, Hemel Hempstead are at home to Wealdstone. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 7.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's that time of the morning where Catherine joins me in the studio and we have a sideways glance at some of the stories. Just take a romp through the newspapers. What have you found for us, Catherine?
Well,
you can't there's a headline in The Sun that we can't read. I've got to say it's genius, okay? It's about the former head of the International Monetary Fund. He's accused, wow, of being involved in...
an orgy.
All right, mate, I was going to tip... There's now going to be kids in cars going, Mum, what's an orgy?
A party.
A party for adults.
But only girls.
And one man.
Yeah.
With 8 ladies who were paid to attend the party.
Mm-hmm. And not with a lucky bag.
I hope there'll be a lucky bag, otherwise they catch all sorts. But there is a headline that we can't read. Basically, it's a pun on the James Bond film Octopussy.
Oh, you can say that?
You can't say that, though.
Well...
Can you not? Octoprosy. It is a brilliant headline for what is a very, very sordid story.
Very, very, very rude indeed.
Very sordid story.
And it's only an allegation.
Yay. Anyway, have you got anything in the papers? Because I'll be honest, they're a little bit
you know when they used to turn pubs into banks?
What?
You know, in the sort of noughties.
No, you mean banks into pubs?
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Well, this is a flip side on that 90s story.
Are they turning pubs into banks?
No, church.
Oh, right. Oh, no, that's...
I wouldn't feel right. You know, some people live in old chapels.
Yeah.
Could you live in an old chapel?
I looked at one once and it was tiny.
I would feel weird about it.
No.
There's normally people under the floor.
No.
Yeah.
No, because they convert the chapel into, like, half a dozen flats, and they're all tiny. They're all apartments.
Yeah, but unless you buy one of those ones like in location, where it's the whole thing, and you can go and you can put your little toilet in the vestry and that. I think it's out of order.
Do you wear a vest in the vestry, Vicar? Thanks.
Of course he does. It's cold. Rundown watering hole, the West End pub in Stoke, has had its prayers answered after worshippers spent £500,000 turning it into a new Methodist church.
Well, there was a trend a few years ago when
from hard spirits to the Holy Spirit.
This is brilliant. There was a trend a few years ago to have church services in pubs on Sunday mornings. There was a pub near me in North London, the Maid of Muswell, and they would have, like, church in there on a Sunday morning.
I like it to be churchy. I wouldn't like to see, like, a dartboard.
Yeah, you want it to be... You want it... But then people...
But I don't want it too posh. My Spanish mate goes to this church. It's all gold. It's like a mini Vatican.
If you love your Spanish mate so much, why don't you marry Spain?
Well, I didn't marry Spain, but I certainly went out with it for a while.
Yeah.
Anyway,
there's a point to this story.
It's $2,000 there, and they talk all the way through their services. I like a nice dour Church of England plain church service where you feel like everyone's got to be quiet.
Yeah.
So that's just my feeling on that.
Thanks very much.
I don't believe it. Don't touch me. Hey, Ray. Hey, Sugar. Tell them who we are.
Well, we're big rock singers, we got golden fingers, and we're loved everywhere we go.
That sounds like us.
We sing about beauty and we sing about truth at $10,000 a show.
Right.
We take all kind of pills to give us all kind of thrills, but the thrill we've never known is the thrill that'll get you when you get your picture on the cover of the Rolling Stone.
Rolling Stone.
Wanna see my picture on the cover?
Stone.
Wanna buy 5 copies for my mother?
Yeah.
Wanna see my smiling face on the cover of the Rolling Stone?
That's a very, very good idea.
I got a freaky old lady named a Cocaine Kitty who embroideries on my jeans. I got my poor old gray-haired daddy driving my limousine.
Now it's all designed to blow our minds, but our minds won't really be blown like the blow that'll get you when you get your picture on the cover of the Rolling Stone.
Rolling Stone.
Wanna see our pictures on the cover?
Stone.
Wanna buy 5 copies for our mother?
Yeah.
Wanna see my smiling face on the cover of the Rolling Stone? Rock and roll!
Oh, that's beautiful.
We got a lot of little teenage blue-eyed groupies who'll do anything we say. We got a genuine Indian guru. He's teaching us a better way. We got all the friends that money can buy, so we never have to be alone. We keep getting richer, but we can't get our picture on the cover of the Rolling Stone.
Rolling Stone.
Wanna see my picture on the cover?
Stone.
Wanna buy 5 copies for my mother?
Stone.
Wanna see my smiling face on the cover of the Rolling Stone? On the cover of the Rolling Stone. Wanna see my picture on the cover?
We ain't on the cover, baby.
Wanna buy 5 copies for my mother?
I ain't seen you.
We will make them on the cover of the Rolling Stone.
Right up front, man. Beautiful, man. Put me on front, smiling, man. Oh,
First disappointment before it's even out, 50 Shades of Grey.
Hey.
It's only got an 18.
Hey! Brap, brap, brap!
They're only showing 10 shades.
What do you mean it's only got an 18? That's the maximum you can have.
Should be an X, shouldn't it?
X is 18, mate.
Oh.
Flip it. It's not 1976. X is 18. Triple X means you've got to be 54 to see it.
And a filth bag.
Yeah, though, that's the maximum. Do you want to go and see it with me?
No, I don't fancy
Sorry, I wasn't talking to you. Matt, do you want to go and see 50 Shades of Grey with me?
Should we go on a works outing?
Yes,
I'll do the popcorn trick.
I've heard there's lots of lovemaking involved in the film.
Less that than smacking of bottoms.
Right.
Yeah?
I think over half the film is just naughtiness.
I'll hold the popcorn.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Just don't buy any salted popcorn.
Leave it.
Leave it, Ian. It's not worth it. Well, leave it. The gag's not worth it, Ian. The gag's not worth it. That's what they say in 50 Shades of Grey. The gag's not worth it. And then they gag her up. I've not read the book. I've
read 1.5 books.
Yeah.
Kind of got the idea after the first one. I don't know why I pressed on.
The thing is... sorry? Did you press on?
Yeah. Only for 1.5. What?
Leave it. The gag's not worth it, Ian. The gag's not worth your career.
Did you ever read it to your mum because you wanted you to?
No, I didn't read 50 Shades of Grey. No. I read the Danny Baker book instead. I managed to serve that one.
Similar.
No, the thing about 50 Shades is there are better romance novels and there are better mucky novels out there. How did it catch the imagination so much?
Because it's a taboo, isn't it?
What, having... and also...
The use of weaponry.
Am I correct in thinking he uses gaffer tape and cable ties?
Uses all kinds. I know, that's not romance to me.
Spend a bit of money, mate. Go into Ann Summers. It's on the high street now. Go and get the...
Well, fairy love cuffs.
Yeah. You're gonna... Anyway,
if he smacked my bottom, I'd smack him back.
Yeah, well...
She loved it.
Right, come on, guys. Listen, we're sailing so close to the...
I don't get that.
The windy parts.
Katy Perry, eh?
Katy Perry touched everyone in the stadium the other night. She blew everyone away, didn't she, at the Super Bowl? I've got more somewhere.
I don't really understand what the Sharks were about.
KP really is the nuts.
No.
You don't like that one?
Oh, I see what you did.
KP
an 80s joke.
Really is the nuts. Hang on. Got some more gags here.
Yeah.
Can't read those.
While we're sailing close to the wind...
Oh, no, please.
Well, I mean, we might as well.
We might as well.
Fright Club. This is on page 10 of The Sun.
Ooh, spooky.
Fright Club.
Fright Club.
A nightclub in Aberdeen texted revellers to tell them they had a STI.
Sorry?
An STI.
That's now what's
As
that?
a joke.
Sexually transmitted infection?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
That was the joke from the club.
From what?
Hey, I'm going to go there again.
What do you mean? Why would they do that?
I don't know, and how would they know?
How would they know? Why would they do that?
Why would they?
Hey, front page of the Daily Mirror, and I'd like to read the full interview because as Britain gets set for yet more snow and ice,
oh, by the way, it snowed.
Energy watchdogs issue this insulting advice. Save cash for fuel bills by eating packed lunch. Energy watchdog Ofgem told families to eat packed lunches so they can afford high heating bills. Rather than tackling firms for not passing on oil price falls, the regulator said customers should save cash. I don't necessarily see a problem with that advice.
Well, you don't have to take it. They're not saying, and here's the ingredients of a...
Here we go.
Jam butty.
There we go. Look, as energy giants trouser huge profits...
Trouser.
On the back of a slump, Ofgem is saying we should eat packed lunch. OK. Instead, here we go. It makes sense. It makes sense. Instead of moving to cut fuel bills, Ofgem laughably advised householders to save cash by taking packed lunches and flasks of hot drinks to work. Well, I do that. If I want to save... I haven't done it for a while, but I went through a thing of wanting to save a few quid, so I brought packed lunches in.
Yeah.
Other suggestions include getting cheap mobiles, going jogging instead of paying for a gym, and cutting out trips to coffee shops. Well, that's all sensible advice.
That's to counteract the headlines that we get all the time about people choosing between heating and eating. They're offering some advice rather than...
I think that's sensible advice.
Yeah.
If you need to save a few quid, then instead of going down to Prizzi's or Mackie D's or wherever for your lunch every day, take sandwiches. It costs pennies. Or you don't have to have the latest iPhone 6. Maybe just get an iPhone 5S. There are ways around this.
Wow,
08459 455 555. The what?
I was going to say the humanity in iPhone 6. Gosh.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There's some snow on the ground because it's been snowing overnight, but the main routes aren't looking too bad on the cameras. There are no delays showing up on the cameras on the M1 or the A1M. The actual roads look clear, they're just very wet. But on the back routes, it's quite slippery and because of the untreated roads. Mick called to say that the A413 between Aylesbury and Great Middleton has not been gritted, so some cars are there spinning around. Looking at the trains, there are half-hour delays on services between Milton Keynes and London Euston because of a signal failure. That's affecting Virgin, London Midland and Southern services. There's also possible delays on Thameslink services between St Albans and Mitcham Junction. Samantha Breath, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Samantha. Excellent line there. It's don't forget to get the weather up, Matt. Give you that little. There we go. He'd forgotten. I knew he had. I was being polite. What?
Look at the face.
Yeah, I know he's gone all stupid. 6:46. It's Tuesday, the 3rd of February. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A Hertfordshire council has been criticised for using a private security company to issue litter fines. A judge has condemned a gang of phone scammers who posed as police officers and conned elderly and vulnerable people out of thousands of pounds. And in sport, Milton Keynes Dons teenager Dele Alli has joined Tottenham for a reported £5 million. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Let's get the weather. Here's Kate.
Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Kate, you there? Hello, Kate.
Morning.
Good morning, Kate. Sorry, we've got it's Matthew Lockwood on doing all the connecting today, so it was always going to end in tears. Over to you, Kate.
Thank you. Good morning. It is a very chilly start and some of us waking up to a covering of snow, some more than others, but some quite a lot. So, yes, we have some snow. We've had some showers overnight and the Met Office has a yellow weather warning in place for snow and also for ice. We run the risk now, despite the showers really dying away, we run the risk of everything that has fallen to the ground freezing because the road temperatures are at 0 or below. Now, towns and cities probably likely to be fine, but it's the countryside that may have a few problems with ice this morning, so extra care needed. It's quite tricky driving conditions. Temperature's not going to get too much warmer, I'm afraid, today. We're looking at a maximum of just 5 Celsius. Further, perhaps snow showers, but 1 or 2 brighter spells as we head through the afternoon. The northerly winds still very cold, though. Overnight tonight, it's a similar scenario. Once we get to midnight, anything that falls from the sky is likely to be a little wintry, maybe some snow. So the Met Office has another yellow weather warning in place for that, valid until tomorrow evening. Minimum temperature down to -1, so again we run the risk of some ice forming. Tricky start to Wednesday, cold, icy, bright spells though tomorrow, some wintry showers, but the wind is going to pick up through tomorrow afternoon. Again, northerly, northeasterly, so it is going to feel really raw. The maximum temperature for Wednesday, 5 Celsius, and that's your forecast.
If you've missed any of the programmes here on BBC Three Counties Radio, you've missed things like this.
Well, no, you're from. You can give me your opinion as someone from the British Parking Association. Is it unfair?
Well, there are so many different instances that.
Okay, here's an instance.
Before then, in this part of the programme, I'm going to meet Sam Ackerman. Now, she's from High Wycombe. And at her heaviest, she weighed 21 stone.
Yeah, I think I had everyone around me just love me enough to accept where I was.
But there is a way you can hear it all again.
I used to have to put up with the house band who couldn't read my music very well and doing a lot of songs I didn't particularly want to sing anyway.
But the question is, Elkie Brooks, do you still do bar mitzvahs?
bbc.co.uk/Three Counties Radio.
Now, if you want to stay married or keep your relationship alive, should you avoid Facebook?
Allowing you to listen to what you missed. bbc.co.uk/Three Counties Radio.
Gonna tell Aunt Mary about Uncle John. He claimed he has a misery, but he having a lot of fun. Oh, baby. Yes, baby. Woo, baby. Having me some fun tonight. Yeah. Well, long, tall Sally, she's beautiful speech she got. Everything that Uncle John need. Oh, baby. Yes, baby. Woo, baby. Having me some fun tonight.
to The Sun, a sunny day is the thing most likely to make us smile in the morning, a survey reveals.
Well...
are you sure you asked the right question? Also on that page, 2 teenagers were barred from the Natural History Museum for wearing animal onesies.
Yeah, let's replace teenagers with the word divs.
Beth Garvey, 17... tried to visit the attraction, famous for its creature exhibits, in an insect outfit, while boyfriend Alex Croth, 18, wore a dinosaur suit.
Do you know what my mum would say about those two? Stops them spoiling another 2 couples.
Security... What? Oh, that's good. Security forced them to remove the gear, despite the museum selling onesies in its gift shop. Beth of Swindon said, "I was gobsmacked. Luckily, we had clothes on underneath."
Wow.
The museum in South Kensington, West London, said while there was no dress code, it had visitors in costumes caused disturbances in the past.
Oh, have they?
I want to know. And there the story ends. By the way, a sunny day is the thing most likely to make us smile in the morning, a survey reveals.
So that begs the question: what makes you smile in the mornings?
No, don't.
08459 455 555.
Well, let's try it and see what we get. Ask that question to Peter.
Morning, Peter.
Good morning.
Hello. What makes you smile in the mornings, Peter in Walmer Green?
I smile at the chaps I play bowls with.
Do you?
Absolutely.
Do they smile back?
Oh, no, not at all, not at all.
So the thing that makes you smile first thing in the morning, Peter, is other men bending over playing with their balls.
Absolutely. Now then, the story of the...
Carry on, Peter. He's being a child.
Yeah, I know. It's like BBC.
Except not as good, not as mature.
I was just going to say.
Shush.
When there is
Don't throw the figure on me.
When there is someone in a newspaper talking about having a sandwich to keep himself warm, if you like.
Yes, mate.
He's got to consider there was over 60,000 elderly died of cold-related illnesses in the past 3 years.
Yeah.
And they've made for the baying mobs, by the way, they've made a massive saving on their benefits.
What?
But what a society we live in.
No, and listen, and Jill makes a very similar point that on the email, that this advice saying eat a packed lunch to save money is all right for some people, but what if you're genuinely poor? But I'm guessing this isn't addressing the people that are living in poverty. This is addressing the people that maybe they're spending, I don't know, an extra 20 quid, an extra 20 quid a week would be really helpful.
I find it quite funny, really. I find it very hypocritical. Yeah. That little chap who got attacked.
Sorry?
That little chap who got attacked.
Oh, the pensioner who got attacked.
Pardon?
He's got...
the wee fella, the blind fella.
He's got progeria.
Yes. The chap who got attacked, and everyone sent money and collected for him. But if someone had said to him he's on benefit about him that he was on benefits, you get a baying mob.
Hang on a minute. Well, he is on benefits.
Well, yeah, but you get a baying...
Are you telling me you're jealous of the wee fella, the blind fella that got mugged?
No, not at all. What I'm saying is, we've got a society.
Yes.
We've got a
society that sees that here's a tragic story.
Baying mob.
No. We've got a society that hears a tragic story like that and dips deep into their pockets to help him out.
Even at a time when no one's got any money.
Agree.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a great society.
But no, we have not.
What?
We have not. We ignore these people dying of cold-related illnesses.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Peter.
You're welcome.
Wise words there from Peter. Slightly garbled message, but at least we know what makes him smile in the morning. What makes you smile in the morning? Oh, and I can't read out the tweet that I've just been sent, but thank you, Scott. 08459.
Scott.
You can guess. 08459 455 555. It's not sun. I don't like sunlight. Although when I went to the bathroom this morning, and I thought, we've left the lights on outside. Because I could see a lot of white. And I opened the window and went, I swore in the bathroom.
It did make me smile this morning when I saw it. I thought I should have gone to work earlier.
Yeah. Flipping brilliant.
Is it going to snow again?
Yeah, mate. It's winter. That's what it does.
No, I mean, not ever again, but tomorrow. Today. Soon. Am I going to have to sleep upstairs, is what I'm saying?
Hey, should we camp over here? Let's camp over here and then we go on a ghost hunt.
Matt, you up for it?
They've turned Bake Off into a celebrity special.
Okay,
He's not listening to
really is just...
We're inviting you to a pyjama party, Matt. You just missed out.
I don't think he wears pyjamas. Have you got anything in the papers?
Yeah, pupils traumatised by Michael Jackson.
What? Let the man rest in pieces. Not again.
A primary school headmaster has apologised to parents of pupils who had nightmares after watching the video of Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Oh,
scary. Fair play.
Grow up, kids. What?
Teachers showed part of the 15 certificate. It's a 15 certificate video. Did you know that?
What time did it come out? What day? What year did it come out?
1980. What's it?
Because it was on Channel 4 and we videotaped it.
I remember it being quite frightening. And then Lenny Henry did a sort of spoof.
He was brilliant.
He was great then, wasn't he?
Year did Michael...
Anyway, they showed it.
Jackson.
And of course it features
Thriller.
Jackson turning into a werewolf and dancing with zombies and people with raggy clothes.
1982, right? So I was 9. I watched it. It didn't do me any harm.
I saw it and I would have been 5.
Yeah, it was on late at night. Might have been on the tube. We taped it on our Betamax video recorder. It didn't scare me. How old are these losers?
7.
Sad.
I was a bit scared and I was 5.
Yeah, but still, sad sacks. Come on, you know it's not real. It's not real.
Anyway, the head teacher's written a letter saying sorry.
Yeah, well, that's... I'll be honest, there's nothing in the papers.
Don't want to be worried about the monsters anyway. I want to be worried about the burglars getting in through the window.
Thanks, mate. Stop that binge jogging. 3 times a week is best for you. I've got to go to the gym tonight. I've not been for 2 weeks. I've not done any jogging and I've been eating badly. If your exercise regime sees you do nothing all week, then go racing round the park several times at the weekend. Here's something to stop you in your tracks. It will kill you.
So don't bother. Lie on the sofa and eat more crisps.
Light jogging is healthier and safer than intensive exercise. A study shows that jogging 3 times a week is best for between 20 and 48 minutes time.
Oh.
Heavy joggers are as likely to die as those leading a sedentary life.
I do 3 minutes a day as I'm late for school and I'm pushing a pushchair and being heckled by a 3-year-old. Never fast enough. Never fast enough.
We had a little disco yesterday in our house.
Did you?
Yeah, although the boys were annoying me. We listened to The Who live in 1981.
Yeah. How did they feel about that?
They were digging it, man. They didn't care that it wasn't Keith Moon on drums. They couldn't tell the difference between Moon and Jones.
This vinyl thing that we've got going is brilliant.
Yeah.
My daughter came back from preschool the other day and said, my friend Rosa likes One Direction. I told her I like the small faces.
You win.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The M25 clockwise has been blocked by an accident between junction 24 for Potters Bar and 25 for Enfield. It's causing queues from junction 23 for the A1M, and clockwise the entry slip road is also closed at junction 24 for Potters Bar as well. On the M1 southbound, that's starting to look very busy from junction 12 for Flitwick to junction 10 for the Luton Airport Spur Road. And on the A413 between Aylesbury and Great Missenden at the Link Road, there is lots of ice on the road and some cars are slipping around, according to Mick, who called in to tell us. On the trains, there are half-hour delays on services between Milton Keynes and London Euston because of a signal failure, so that's affecting Virgin, London Midland and Southern services. There's also possible delays on Thameslink services from St Albans to Mitcham Junction. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you so much, Sammy. That was excellent. So, in the next hour, your calls off Jem being out of order by suggesting that to save a few quid, well, you have a packed lunch and maybe you don't go to Costa every day. I think it's perfectly reasonable advice. 08459 455 555.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines: security guards on litter patrol in Hertfordshire. Judge condemns phone scam gang. And Milton Keynes Don's teenager joins Tottenham.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A civil liberties campaign group has criticised a Hertfordshire council for using a private security company to issue litter fines. Broxbourne Borough Council hands out thousands of fines every year, while neighbouring authorities issue only a handful. More from Nicola Hazler.
In 2011 to 12, Broxbourne Borough Council issued over 3,000 fines for dropping litter or cigarette ends in the street. In the same period, Welwyn and Hatfield and Hertsmere councils, who don't use private security firms, issued only 21 fines each. Kingdom Security takes a £40 cut from every fine issued, but a civil liberties group says because of the financial incentive, there are too many fines being issued.
A judge has told a gang of phone scammers who posed as police officers that they committed mean and cynical offences which conned elderly and vulnerable people out of thousands of pounds. One 84-year-old woman woman from Hertfordshire lost more than £20,000. More from Tony Fisher.
Members of the gang contacted the elderly lady from Bishop Stortford every day for 30 days to get money. St Albans Crown Court was told how they used special apps downloaded onto a mobile phone to get their victims' PIN numbers. They made more than 1,000 cold calls to members of the public pretending to be police officers. The gang of 5 men, who all live in Camden, were jailed for a total of more than 17 years.
A police office in Woburn Sands near Milton Keynes, which is staffed by volunteers, is closing today as the Thames Valley Force tries to save money. Next month, another office in Olney will also close. MPs will decide today whether or not IVF babies can be born with genetic material that comes from 3 people. The DNA would come from a child's mother and father and a second woman. Scientists are convinced this would help avoid inherited diseases, but Christian leaders say there are ethical and safety concerns. James Kitto's 3-year-old daughter has a genetic condition.
It's such an important milestone to allow a potentially devastating disease to be removed from future generations. It seems really a no-brainer not to allow this to be utilised, given how well tested it's been.
Police in Milton Keynes have released CCTV images after an attempted armed robbery at a Starbucks coffee shop on Saturday evening. The man who had a pistol tried to rob the shop in Elder Gate at about 7 p.m, but left empty-handed when the shop assistant refused to hand over cash. In sport, Milton Keynes Dons teenager Dele Alli has joined Tottenham in a reported £5 million deal, but the 18-year-old will be loaned back to the Dons for the rest of the season. Also ahead of last night's deadline, young non-league striker Keishy Anderson swapped to Bedfordshire Village side for the Premier League. He's left Barton Rovers to join Crystal Palace. The weather, an icy start with occasional sleet and snow showers. Brighter this afternoon, but staying cold in the northerly winds. A maximum temperature 5 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC 3 Counties Radio.
Britannia, you are cool. Take a trip. Britain's ever, ever, ever shall be. Hip, hip me, hip me.
Morning! Iain Lee, BBC 3 Counties Radio. So the head of Ofgem has said to save money to pay your bills, well, hey, why not take a packed lunch to work? People are up in arms about it. I think, Catherine. Hang on, am I allowed to have an opinion here? Yes, at this one I am. I think that's sensible advice, and it's not going to help everybody. It's not going to help those people who are living in real poverty. But if an extra 20 quid a week would be significant for you, then don't go to Costa every day. Don't have go and have a McDonald's for lunch, whatever. Take in packed lunches.
I think what people have got beef about is who the advice is coming from. It's not from Martin Lewis, money saving expert.
No.
It's from Ofgem.
Yeah.
And they're thinking, tell you what, Ofgem, instead of telling us how to save money, why don't you bring the prices down, put a bit of pressure on those energy
Ofgem
companies.
can't bring the prices down. It's Ofgem. They can't bring the prices down.
Can't they apply pressure?
No, only the EDL can bring the prices down. Not the EDL. EDF. So we're talking about that, and according to The Sun today, this is the weirdest. Surely
does the sun mean itself or the actual sun? You know this.
No, it says a sunny day is the thing most likely to make us smile in the morning. There ends the story. What makes you smile in the morning? Keep it clean. 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This.
Oh, yes.
Texts.
Yes. Should you be setting up a guest, Matt?
Yep.
Somebody's there already.
Yeah, but after that, because it's only Philip in South Norwood, and I'll be honest, I won't keep him for too long. You understand, don't you, Philip?
I do, Ian, I do. Yes.
Let Catherine do the texts.
Go on, Catherine, do them.
Morning, gang, and Philip in South Norwood. Luton seems to have had the most snow, but no mention on the news! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Surprise!
Now, here's the thing. Is the snow a news thing, a weather thing, or a travel thing?
I would go travel thing.
And I would go weather thing first, travel thing second, news thing...
What was the first thing you thought, though, when you... I mean, don't mention that, because that was quite a rude word, but when you looked out of the window this morning and saw the snow, I thought, oh, blimey, the roads are going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, and they weren't.
Nope.
They were fine.
Side roads, as usual, a bit of a slalom.
Side roads are a blooming awful, but...
Anyway, Jay says... Lots of drivers have been totally stupid, as normal, driving too fast or using a mobile phone. OMG, OMG, 2 exclamation marks for that.
What do you expect, guys? Come on. People don't know how to drive at the best of times, and people don't know how to drive in the snow. I should go around giving people lessons in how to snow drive.
I've got a thing I can turn off in my car. I don't know whether I should have turned it off.
Oh, is that the yellow slippy light thing?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
When am I supposed to turn that off?
Let's ask Philip in South Norwood. Philip?
I don't drive. I've never driven a car.
What?
No, I mean, I worked in public transport, so I never had the need for a car.
But you're 87 years old.
I know, well, no, a little bit lower than that.
84.
No, you wanted to know what makes me smile in the morning.
Oh, blimey.
Do we want to know?
After my computer alarm goes off, for 5 minutes I go to my favourite website.
Has he been checked to see what he's going to say?
Yes, it's a great website. It's called GoComics.com.
Oh.
And it's the newspaper cartoon strips from all around the world.
Well, that sounds great.
And I've got half a dozen regulars.
Give us your...
Matt. I bet you like Matt, don't you?
Is Matt on there from the Telegraph?
These are ones from America, Australia, Canada. And the ones that I like the best are Herman, by the great Jim Unger. Dick Tracy, I have a pop and see what Dick Tracy's doing. Red and Rover.
For everybody who's just making the Dick jokes, don't. We're above that.
Dick Tracy, the greatest detective on...
Give us the top comic today, Philip.
The top comic today is a little strip about a little boy and his dog called Red and Rover.
Right.
Red and Rover. It's really, really funny.
Oh.
And there's so many on there, Ian. There's even Little Abner.
Well,
and Alley-oop. Do you remember Alley-oop?
No, mate, because I'm not from the olden days.
Oh, well, there's loads of them.
They've got Calvin and Hobbes.
No, blimey. Is Hagar the Horrible on there, or Stryker?
Peanuts.
George and Lynn. Do we have George and Lynn? When is someone... I hope George and Lynn are wearing clothes today.
The worst thing is in the summer when the barbecue's out. I do wonder about that.
Oh, especially when it's snowing.
Yeah, exactly. Philip, thank you for those. 0845.
Handicap they got.
Oh, blimey.
Do you remember that?
Unfortunately. 08459 455 555.
On FM, AM, online and digital radio.
This is Iain Lee.
On BBC Three Counties Radio.
Oh, 08459 455 555. Now, litter is one of those things that gets right on people's nerves. Well, not in Broxbourne, because they've called in... it's fair to say, Catherine, they've called in the A-team.
Pretty much.
Who have they hired? They've hired...
private security firm made up of ex-service personnel. I kind of wondered how they were managing all these prosecutions. They do loads.
The most councils give out about 50 prosecutions a year for littering,
yeah.
OK? But Broxbourne, in 2011 to 2012, they handed out 3,500 fines, to the point where this morning you said, now, is that pounds they've raised? And we went, no, it's number of fines they've dished out.
So we wondered how on earth they were managing to get hold of people's details, because if someone drops a fag butt and you say, can I have your details, please? They're not going to tell you, are they?
Yeah, well...
They have ways of making you talk.
It's the flipping A-team. Well, on the line now, Phil Barton from Keep Britain Tidy. Morning, Phil.
Good morning.
All right. We spoke to a lady earlier on who thought this wasn't a particularly good idea. It may be a little bit harsh, but I quite like it.
Yes, well, we very much support enforcement. We think it's really important. One of the things we know is that the people who do litter are most likely to be deterred by believing that they might be caught. For example, we did a focus group in Liverpool only last week with young people, and they had never heard of anyone who had been prosecuted or issued with a fixed penalty notice. What we do say is that the guidelines to the A-team have to be sensible and appropriate, so they need to use their judgment. And we also say that you should be informing the public properly so that they know that this policy is in place and so that they are aware. And indeed, in some cases, actually telling them that you're doing it can reduce littering itself. So whilst it may seem draconian to some, it is a major problem, littering, and it, as you said, it brings down the area, it upsets people, and we've got lots of evidence that there is a relationship between litter and crime, for example, and litter and...
Do you know what, Phil? I was a little bit on the fence earlier on, but the more I think about this, the more I think this is a brilliant idea. And there was a suggestion that maybe these little wardens should say, look, pick that up or you're going to get a fine. No, I don't think there even should be, because we all know it's wrong to throw bits of, crisp packet or even, biodegradable orange peel on the floor. We know it's wrong. You've done it. Wallop, you've got a fine.
Yes, and as I say, we would advocate that before that regime came in, there was proper information to the public, that there were notices around so that people knew that this was the policy of the area.
Yep.
But you need to be reasonable about how you introduce it. But there is no doubt that enforcement in this way has an effect, and there's also no doubt that one of the major impacts for people who do litter is the belief that they're likely to be caught.
What do you think about it being a private security firm?
Well, it's a decision in each case for the local authority. Our concern would be about the nature of the contract and the nature of the way in which it's drawn up and the, if you like, the instructions and training that are given to the people who are on the ground. What we would not support is a contract which is purely about delivering fixed penalty notices. What we want to see is a contract which is about reducing the littering problem.
And I suppose that is the problem, because it's a private company. I don't think the council gets much, if anything, from the fines. I think the company gets 40 quid per fine, so they're going to want to fine people, aren't they?
And as I say, it's a matter of managing it properly. I don't know the details of this case, so I wouldn't want to comment in Broxbourne, but certainly we know of a number of local authorities where they have introduced this policy. Sometimes they do it themselves, sometimes they do it through a company. And of course, one of the challenges, I think you mentioned some of the other councils will only prosecute sort of a few tens of times a year. Actually employing your own enforcement officers and bringing issuing the fixed penalty notice, it is expensive for local authorities, and as we know, they're under the cosh at the moment in terms of their budgets and so on. So it is a dilemma for councils, but we think that a successful anti-litter policy involves providing the right infrastructure in the first place, so that the right bins are in the right places and so on. Secondly, it's the right information and education. And thirdly, it's appropriate enforcement.
Phil, good to talk to you. Phil Barton from Keep Britain Tidy. I was on the fence earlier on with our earlier guest. Do you know what? Zero tolerance. Zero tolerance.
Enough of us manage not to litter.
Yeah, it's an easy thing. Hey, do you know what? I've got a crisp packet. I always put it... it annoys me when we're out with the kids and they give me bits of rubbish to hold, but I put it in my pocket.
I've started telling them to put it in their own pocket, and then when they get home, they can put it in the bin.
Yeah, exactly. Or we take it to the car and we'll leave it in the car, and then it's such an easy thing. No, do you know what? Because I was a little bit unsure about this, and it's funny. When this was sent to us last night, it was the way it was phrased and some of the questions that were suggested to us. It was obviously the person that wrote it thought this was perhaps a little bit heavy-handed. Uh-huh. I'm totally behind it. This is brilliant.
Heavy-handed enough, isn't it?
Yeah, I think this is brilliant.
And as for, making people aware of it, there's nothing that's going to make you more aware than a mate of yours getting fined.
08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The M25 clockwise is blocked between junction 24 for Potters Bar and 25 for Enfield. Those queues are reaching junction 23 for the A1M. Also, the entry slip road at junction 24 for Potters Bar on the M25 clockwise is closed as well. It's starting to look quite slow anti-clockwise between junction 25 for Enfield and 24 for Potters Bar. Past that stretch with people slowing down to look at the opposite carriageway. Looking at the cameras on the M1 southbound, it's looking quite slow between junction 12 for Flitwick and the M1 junction 10 for Luton Airport Spur Road. And in Wendover, between between Wendover and Aylesbury and Great Missenden, it's very slow. There's delays because of the ice on the road. Mick called to say that some cars are getting stuck there on the A413. And on the trains, there are half-hour delays between Milton Keynes and London Euston because of a signal failure. So that's affecting Virgin, London Midland and Southern services. There are also possible delays on Thameslink trains between St Albans and Mitcham Junction because of safety checks being made on the line. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. 7:16, it's Tuesday the 3rd of February. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A Hertfordshire council has been criticised for using a private security company to issue litter fines. A judge has condemned a gang of phone scammers who posed as police officers and conned elderly and vulnerable people out of thousands of pounds. And in the sports, Milton Keynes Dons teenager Dele Alli has joined Tottenham Hotspur Football Club for a reported £5 million nicker.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Every weekday morning.
Let me get on with your consumer problems.
Should I expect it to last as a £350 TV or a £250 TV?
Jonathan Vernon Smith.
Have you gone back to the retailer? I went and spoke to the company that you'd paid the money to.
The JVS show fights for your rights and tackles your consumer problems.
So I emailed again and reminded them of the statutory rights, which I've heard in your programme.
If you need our help, email jvsshow@bbc.co.uk.
They've backed down and they have put in writing to me that I no longer owe the money.
And we could do the same for you.
That's fantastic news. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Your team is fantastic because you look after the people.
The JVS Show. Weekdays from 9 on BBC Three Counties Radio. Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Has Paul Manning phoned up yet to pwn me?
No.
OK, we're waiting for... Paul, give us a call, 08459 455 555. He's been wagging his finger at me on Facebook. And I said, look, instead of doing this on Facebook, give me a call between 6 and 9 tomorrow morning. And he said, OK, yeah, I will. So, Paul, we're awaiting your call, Paul. Better call Saul.
From his comments, I said... I don't think he could have heard the actual interview he got upset about.
It claims it, and I listened to the... Basically, we were talking last week to Robert Smith, who's not allowed to see his kids, and he got a restraining order on him because he was out in the street with a megaphone shouting at his wife.
And he's been given a ticking off for it.
Yeah. And Paul Manning heard that and was offended by one of the questions. Ignored the other 9.5 minutes of the interview, but was offended by one of the questions.
And the fact that Robert wanted to talk about it with us because he's championing the cause for fathers.
And fair play to Paul. I said, look, let's not do this on Facebook because these things never get... You can't discuss these things on Facebook properly. Come on the show. And he said, OK, I'll give you a call tomorrow. So, Paul, 08459 455 555. We's awaiting.
Someone else that you annoy.
Yeah. Oh.
Jen of Houghton Regis.
Morning, Jen.
Hi, Iain. This is a text. Wally Webb makes me smile in the mornings, whereas you only make me angry. Jen of Houghton Regis. You make her angry every morning.
Well, Jen, I'm so glad that you listen to me every morning
and
to get angry. I mean, and basic text charges apply. So thanks for that. I mean, although I had a revelation. Did I tell you this? I worked out why people listen to shows that they don't like. Because I was listening to a show that I don't like, and it was amazing. It was a revelation.
I know why.
I was listening to The Now Show, which I don't like. Hate it. And I know some people that work on it, and they're really nice, talented people, but I think the show itself is flipping awful.
It's a bit clunky, isn't it?
It's awful. Radio 4 show, it's awful. And I listen to it every Saturday as I'm driving down the M1.
It used to annoy me because I thought I could write better sketches than that.
So I was listening to it, and I was thinking, I flipping hate this. This is making me so angry. And then I stopped. And I'd just done a radio show where people had got in touch saying, I hate you, and I'd challenged them, why'd you listen then? I thought, OK, look, I'm in this mindset. I'm listening to a show I listen to every week that I hate. Why am I doing it? And the thought process went thus. I listened to it because it makes me feel better about myself. Makes me feel...
because you don't think they're as good as you.
Yeah. It makes me think, I could do this and I could do it better.
Yeah.
Makes me angry, but that anger is focused on something that is irrelevant. So I'm not being angry with you lot. I'm pointing to the team. I'm not being angry with my wife. I'm not being angry with my kids. I'm being angry at something that it doesn't matter if I'm angry at that because there'll be no consequences for either of us. It's cathartic.
The difference is people who feel obliged to be rude, to direct that anger in a targeted way. So emails, texts, that kind of thing. I mean, that's a loop, isn't it?
No, because
Would you email them?
I wouldn't email them. I would tweet about it.
That's even more passive-aggressive.
Yeah, I would tweet about it.
Yeah,
And the only reason I don't is because I've got people that follow me that work on that show.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do that to
But
them.
that's the thing. These people want you to know
Yeah.
how they feel. That's a difference, isn't it?
Well, but to them, we're not real people.
Oh, well, yeah, there is.
To them, we're Danger Mouse and Penfold. We're cartoon characters. We're not real people.
Some of them get quite specific, though. I mean, I used to get one that used to make up stuff about me and write things in, and I thought, gosh, I'm having a much more exciting life in your head than I am in my own.
Oh, no, because we are... Hey, listen, we are radio, we are the BBC, so any hatred they got for the BBC, they can focus at us. We're not real people. It's like having to go at Den and Angie on EastEnders.
Those two.
Yeah, those two buffoons. So anyway, that was my interesting revelation. We'll go to this phone scammer thing in a minute because this is an important story. But I'm really aware that we've got Matt Lockwood with us, and he's not earning his money. So what can we do with lockers?
There's something here I've noticed. Age UK, fantastic charity, do a great deal for people who are under-supported in other ways. Right? We love them. They've got a new campaign, right? All these different charities are trying to get with it, get hip to the groove.
Oh, yeah. Does it involve Twitter?
It involves a selfie.
Oh, blimey.
Not by my selfie. What they want people to do is go round and see their elderly neighbour, stroke relative.
Yep.
Take a selfie with them. Post it online. And then you text ages 33, £3 to 770. You donate £3.
Why don't
you just donate?
Donate the £3.
Knock on and donate.
I don't like selfies. I hate selfies.
But also, how would you feel being that elderly person?
Yeah.
Who is being kind of used?
And I don't like this thing of knocking on people's doors. Are you all right? Because... Supposing there was a thing the other day. There's a story the other day that there are a significant number of elderly people over the age of 70 that can go for 3 or 4 days without seeing anybody, and they are therefore lonely. Well, are they lonely though? Are they lonely? The thought of not seeing people for 3 or 4 days fills me with joy. And I know that's not the case for everybody. Of course, there are people for whom that would be absolutely
but also,
hell.
That's a choice for you. That's not your life.
But we don't know it's not a choice. For these older people.
I guess.
For some of them, they've fallen into that lifestyle and perhaps they are very sad and they are very miserable. But I would imagine... I find it really... Let me try and crystallise my thoughts. I find it really patronising to assume that because people are on their own, they are lonely.
But also that because people are over a certain age, that they are somehow... in need of you. My grandma talks about old people, right? She's 90. She talks about people who are 95 as being old people, not realising that she is actually quite old herself.
What we're going to send lockers out on, because I'm aware that we've got a guest waiting and I want to get to
How people would feel about this.
Lockers, can you do it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I think we basically just sent a simpleton out to harass old people. I'm not sure. Now, a gang of phone scammers, who posed as police officers and conned elderly and vulnerable people out of thousands of pounds have been jailed for more than 17 years. One 84-year-old woman from Hertfordshire lost more than £20,000 after being contacted every day for 30 days. Well, St Albans Crown Court was told how they used special apps downloaded onto a mobile phone to get their victims' PIN numbers. Well, here's an example of how the scam works.
Hello, is that Mr. Woods? Yes. Hello, Mr. Woods. Good morning. My name's Detective Sergeant Brown. I'm calling from the Fraud Department. I just need a moment of your time, if that's possible. Okay. Thank you, sir. I'm currently investigating a number of banks in the area. We believe the issue is that they're actually issuing counterfeit notes to customers like yourself. Notes? That's right, sir. Now, I'm afraid your bank may be part of this, as its staff...
And so the scam goes on and on and on. I suspect those people may have been acting. I don't quite know. Well, Jonathan Kerr is an expert in financial crime and fraud. Jonathan, we've been hearing about this type of scam more and more over the last 18 months.
Yeah, good morning, Ian. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, thank you.
There's been a number of these scams happening, and it's quite despicable. These criminals are preying on the vulnerable, the elderly, the people who are perhaps the most in need of our support. And what they're doing is they're using these tricks, pretending to be members of the police force, pretending to be from the bank, and by doing what they're doing is basically conning people into giving them their cash cards, into giving them their PIN numbers, and even in some cases actually going down to the bank bank and getting out, a forkload of cash from the cash machine and handing it over.
Oh, so they're because I know that they were often sending people to front doors to collect bank cards, and they do a very they do a simple trick on the telephone, don't they, to make you think that you phoned up your bank or you phoned up the police.
Yeah, exactly. What they'll do is they say, look, hang up the phone and call the police. And what they'll do instead, when you hang up the phone, they don't disconnect. They just hang on the line and they'll play a recording of a dial tone down the line to you. So, of course, you pick up the phone, you hear the dial tone, you think, oh, right, I'll call the bank. And before you know it, there's you're back in the hands of the fraudsters again.
And they're preying primarily on elderly people. And I guess that's part of the reason is because elderly people, if they get an authoritative phone call, they're more inclined to believe it. What are the tips, Jonathan, to protect yourself and maybe, family members from this kind of thing?
Well, the one thing you can tell your friends and your family members is never, ever give your bank card, never, ever give your PIN details to anybody who says they're from the bank or indeed from the police. There is no reason for anybody from the bank to ask for your PIN number. All the details they need to check your account for signs of fraud, they already have in their systems. And similarly for the police, there's no reason why the police would need your PIN number, and there are very few reasons I can think of why the police would actually want to take your bank card from you.
And also, again, sorry to interrupt, Jonathan. This is just a suggestion I heard on Radio 4 the other day. Is if you receive a phone call like this and you're told to call a number, do it from a different telephone line.
Absolutely, because that way you'll get round this trick of playing the dial tone down the phone. So if they called you on your cell phone, then give them a call, as you say, from your home line, or vice versa.
Supposing I were to fall for this, and supposing these scammers were to get my PIN number and get £5,000 out of my bank account, would the bank give me that money back? Or is it my fault because I've given out the PIN number?
I think the banks usually have the view that if you have given out your PIN number, then you are at fault for the fraud. And it's unfortunate, but as I say, there is a point where the banks say, "Well, we can't help out. We can't help out the needy in this way because otherwise they're explaining themselves."
Jonathan, no, go on. Sorry, carry on.
No, I think the way to think about it is that if you give someone your PIN number, it's like giving them the front door to it's giving them your house key. It's almost like opening up and giving them the contents of your wallet.
Jonathan, I really appreciate your time this morning. Jonathan Kerr, expert in financial crime and fraud. That little Lartsy, that little scene, that little workshop at the start was awful, wasn't it? Where was that from? It wasn't people from here, was it?
I'm trying to work out where that's from. I think that was a reconstruction.
I think that must have come from the coppers. This is not real, and I don't recognise the voices. Hang on.
He's definitely doing an acting voice.
Hello, is that Mr. Woods?
Yes, I'm not really an old man.
My name's Detective Sergeant Brown. I'm calling from the Fraud Department. I just need a moment of your time, if that's possible.
Okay. I think it's the same fella doing both voices.
Very talented man.
It sounds like he's underwater.
We believe the issue is that they're actually issuing...
Well, this is obviously a reconstruction, A, because the acting's terrible, and B, it's recorded from the point of view of the criminal.
I'm afraid your bank may be part of this, as its staff will be...
Oh, really?
Would you be willing to assist us in our investigation into the bank at all?
That's my least favourite, but also my favourite thing I've ever played out on this radio show. It's like I've done corporate videos, and
you better just check it wasn't Jonathan.
Jonathan,
who's still on the line. Go on, a day.
No, I'm not going to go. No. That wasn't you, was it, Jonathan?
I'm afraid not, Iain. My acting skills are nowhere near that good.
Good. I'm glad to listen. Thank you very much for your advice this morning, Jonathan. I appreciate it. Oh, that was I had a moment there.
Sweat.
Blimey.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M25 clockwise, there's only one lane open between junction 24 for Potters Bar and 25 for Enfield. That's causing queues from junction 22 for St Albans now. Also, the entry slip road at junction 24 for Potters Bar is closed, and it's also looking very slow anti-clockwise past that stretch with people slowing down to look at the other carriageway. On the A1M southbound, it's looking very busy between junction 8 for Hitchin and 7 for Stevenage, and the A1 southbound, that's starting to build up between the Kimbolton turnoff and the Black Cat roundabout through the roadworks. On the A413 between Aylesbury and Great Great Missenden, it's looking very slow because of the ice on the roads. Mick called to say that it's very icy in that stretch. And on the trains, there are still half-hour delays on all services in and out of London Euston because of a signal failure. And on Thameslink services between St Albans and Mitcham Junction, there are also possible delays because of safety checks being made on the line. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7:30. I'm Simon Oxley. A Hertfordshire council is being criticised for using a private security company to issue litter fines. Broxbourne Borough Council hands out thousands of fines every year for dropping litter or cigarette ends, while neighbouring authorities issue only a handful. A judge has told a gang of phone scammers who posed as police officers that they committed mean and cynical offences, which conned elderly and vulnerable people out of thousands of pounds. And Anglian Water is cutting bills by 7%. The company say this will mean an annual bill drops by an average of £29.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Milton Keynes Dons teenager Dele Alli has joined Tottenham in a reported £5 million deal, but he will still play a part in the Dons League One promotion challenge. The Dons also welcome back a former captain, and there were arrivals at Luton and Stevenage ahead of last night's deadline, as Jeff Doyle reports.
As expected, Dele Alli completed his move to Tottenham for around £5 million plus add-ons, signing a 5.5-year contract. He's been loaned back to MK for the rest of the season. The Dons have also signed former player Keith Andrews on loan from Bolton, having had his Watford loan cut short. Watford midfielder Lewis McGugan has gone back to Sheffield Wednesday on loan. Luton have signed Tottenham's young striker Nathan Aduwa on loan, and Stevenage have loaned QPR winger Bruno Andrade and striker Danny Johnson from Cardiff.
Luton also extended the loan of striker Jayden Stockley, but were unable to complete a third deal last night, despite what the club has described as extensive negotiations. Elsewhere, Chelsea's £23 million signing of the Colombia winger Juan Cuadrado was the biggest deal yesterday. They sold Germany's Andre Schürrle to Wolfsburg for £22 million. Darren Fletcher left Manchester United for West Brom, and Aaron Lennon has moved on loan from Tottenham to Everton. Watford have successfully appealed against Gabriel Angela's controversial red card in the first minute of Friday night's defeat at Bournemouth. It means he can play at home to Blackburn on Saturday. Tonight's FA Cup fourth round replays include Manchester United versus Cambridge, and in Conference South it's Hemel Hempstead at home to Wealdstone.
Make sure
BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin at 8.
Catherine wants a word with you about something I have no interest in at all, Simon.
Exciting transfers. Someone who's done very, very well. Barton Rovers lad. Tell us a bit more about him.
The Barton Rovers lad, a big night of transfers, transfer deadline, lots of money changing hands. Right at the top end of the scale, Chelsea paying £23 million for a player who featured in the World Cup. And down at the other end of the scale, Barton Rovers, a Bedfordshire Village side, selling one of their players to Crystal Palace. So it goes from Division 1 Central of the Southern League to the Premier League for, around about £35,000, which may not sound a lot, but when you think Barton's biggest fundraiser is the annual firework display, it's a lot of money for them.
That's excellent.
It's not to be sneezed at for Barton.
Yeah, Kelly, stop being silly.
I'm not sneezing. I think that's really, really good.
It's brilliant.
That's brilliant.
What's that, 7? Is that 7?
And for the club.
A leap of 7 divisions up the football pyramid.
Not to be sneezed at all.
Not to be sneezed.
Also, I want to do a quick bit of housekeeping.
Oh, don't drag it on any longer, for goodness sake.
This is about snow, and this is important that we get it out, and I think that Simon's the man to do it.
OK.
You've been getting phone calls upstairs, haven't you, from people asking about schools?
We have had some phone calls asking if any schools are shut.
Phone the schools!
Well, that's the point, I think. That we're not putting them on the website, are we?
No, we would direct people to the council website, so whichever council your school is served by, or the school websites themselves, or a lot of schools text you directly anyway, so...
Thank you, Simon. Excellent
Simon
stuff.
always talks like he's doing the news.
It's very official.
Even in conversations.
Simon, excellent stuff. Thank you very much. What would possess a parent to think, it's been snowing, I wonder if the school's open? I'm going to phone the BBC.
Probably about 25 years of that being what the school was.
Yeah, but surely you'd phone the school first, wouldn't you?
They're not always open because if they're closed...
Because of the snow?
I take it as a huge compliment that they would think we know that stuff.
But I would still phone the school. We got
I get texts from school. Very handy.
Kez, not the bird, on the tweeter says, "Morning, Ian. Can you find out why there are no gritters anywhere in Milton Keynes? The side roads are terrible. Well, the gritters will need to go out before the snow,
And they don't do side roads.
They don't do side roads. I know, which is annoying if you live on a side road, as I do. But I have to say, all of the main roads on the way to work this morning were blinding, absolutely blinding. So, but yeah, you have to do the grit before the snow. That's the
rule.
That's the rule. Kels, you all right? I tell you what, let's have a little bit of this, and then we'll have a little bit of deals.
There's a voice that keeps on calling me. Down the road is where I'll always be. Every stop I make a new friend. Can't stay for long, just turn around and I'm gone again. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow I'll just keep moving on. Down this road that never seems to end. When new adventure lies just around the bend. So if you wanna join me for a while, just grab your hat, come travel light, that's hobo style. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, the whole world is my home. So if you wanna join me for a while, just grab your hat, come travel light, that's hobo style. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on. There's a world that's waiting to unfold. A brand new tale no one has ever told. We've journeyed far, but you know it won't be long. We're almost there and we've paid our fare with a hobo song. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on. So if you wanna join me for a while, just grab your hat, come travel light, that's hobo style. Maybe tomorrow I'll find what I call home. Until tomorrow, you know I'm free to roll.
Carl Malcolm, we're coming for you. This is the unofficial theme of Matt, who calls in a lot. It's called Hey Matty Bum Bum, I calm down. Hey Matty Bum Bum, I calm down. Hey Matty Bum Bum, I calm down. Hey Matty Bum Bum. Anyway, it's Carl Malcolm.
Sometimes it works, often it doesn't.
Often it gets him grumpy, although he was singing along yesterday, miserable old so-and-so. So, we want to track down Mr. Carl Malcolm and get him on the show. We've had no luck so far, and we've put out all of our...
feelers.
Yes, which would please Ian, who just called him. But we have taken Justin Dealey and we have sent him aboard, of all places. He's been hanging out with Cliff Richard.
Don't worry, licence fee payer, you're not paying for it.
No. But he has actually been hanging out with Cliff Richard,
yeah.
Which is very, very bizarre. Anyway, he's taken the search to the beach. Kelly, I've got some audio here that says Dealey on the beach. Am I right to assume that that's Dealey on the beach?
Yep.
Shall I play it?
Yeah.
Here we go.
This, my friends, is the sound of the Caribbean, known for its rum and beautiful beaches, and of course legendary reggae stars such as Carl Malcolm of Hey Fatty Boom Boom fame. We're here to track him down. Let's take it to the beach. How are you, Charlie? Oh, Charlie, have you seen him yet?
Not yet.
Are you asking questions for me?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So should we maybe catch up tomorrow?
I don't know, but I think he's in Jamaica, man.
So the wrong island?
The wrong island.
Oh,
the
no.
wrong island. The wrong island.
I'm upset about that.
Yeah, he in the wrong island.
Charlie, I love you. Thank you so much. Respect, yeah?
Safe and secure, man. Maximum respect.
Yes. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Maximum respect.
Now, Fabian, you've got a monkey on your shoulder. Can we have the name of the monkey?
Marley.
And you reckon this monkey is famous?
Yes.
Why is he famous?
It was Simon Cowell.
Oh. Picture with Simon Cowell.
This is the only house monkey you're going to find on the beach. He lives in a house, eats rice, chicken, pie, fish. I won't say the rest.
OK, I've got a question for you. Does the monkey know where Carl Malcolm is?
No.
Do you know where he is?
No.
Hey, fatty boom boom, sweet sugar.
Dumpling.
How are you, geezer? Nice boat.
Yeah, it's a good boat.
Lovely boat. Now, have you seen him, Carl Malcolm? Come on, where's Carl Malcolm?
I have no...
He's on that boat somewhere, isn't he?
He gotta be on the boat.
Have you seriously not seen him?
No, I've not seen him. He's gonna be around probably tomorrow. He's gonna be around tomorrow.
He'll be around tomorrow?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you're early, you might see him.
Victor, here we are. Beautiful setting. We're taking it to the beach. Carl Malcolm, you think you might know somebody who knows him?
Oh, yeah. Sure I do. When I go back home, I'll check. And I'll certainly find someone that really knows him.
Yeah?
And try and get hold of him.
And get him down here to the beach for me?
Yeah,
you are amazing. What's your memories behind the track? Hey, Fatty Bum Bum.
Oh, man, it has so many memories of that here. But it's so long now because it was way back in the 70s, I think it was.
Yeah. Hey, Fatty Bum Bum.
Let me tell you something.
Sweet sugar dumpling. OK, you go and make your phone call.
Yeah.
We'll catch up soon.
Yeah.
Back in England, the streets respect me. Let me ask you this, Victor, man to man. The beach. Does this beach respect me?
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah.
Well, plenty of beach bants, but sadly information on Carl Malcolm is thin on the ground. Even Cliff Richard didn't know his whereabouts whilst we were sharing a lobster lunch at the weekend. Plenty of fatty bum bums on display on this beach, but sadly not the man himself. Justin Dealey for the Iain Lee Breakfast Show, BBC Three Counties Radio, the Caribbean.
Don't believe I'm afraid of that. Self-praise is no recommendation. I'm
getting complaints on the email that we don't do the closed school updates anymore. Replaced it with this. That's why. That's much better, huh?
Sugar dumpling.
By the way, it wasn't the BBC's decision not to do school closures on this show. It was mine.
Don't need a look like...
It's just a bit, you know...
No one was happy with the system.
No.
Go straight to the horses.
Yes.
They got technology now.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I remember the first winter I was here having to read out a long list of schools. And, OK, it's useful for... I don't know, a few families, but for the other listeners are going, boring. We replaced it with this, the hunt for 70s reggae stars. Anyway, we've got some texts.
Yeah,
we've got some texts.
Poor old Matt Lockwood. Well, Justin, what his name is?
Who?
Jonathan?
Justin.
He's out on the beach.
Yeah.
Poor old Matt Lockwood's out in the snow.
Yeah, the yin and indeed the yang.
We're asking about this new thing from Age UK. They're asking people...
Oh, yeah.
Not Buy My Selfie, it's called. It's a new social media campaign. You go and knock on an elderly neighbour's door... And
go away! Leave me alone!
Take a picture
I
of
want to
them.
see anybody. Don't you come here, I'll go away.
And then you donate to a number...
Just do the donate.
Yeah, exactly, £3.
Yep.
Or just go and see if everyone's okay.
Exactly. Don't do it just to show off on social media. Not that anyone would ever do that.
Good one.
No, not in a
good
selfie.
one.
Anyway, Jack of Luton, or ex-Luton, says, I recently moved to a nice house built in a place where I don't know anyone. My sister phoned and said in a very condescending voice, it sounded as though she believed I'd been forced to move by the age police. Oh, you poor thing. Is there a cafe locally you could go to and meet people?
You don't meet people in a cafe.
In a cafe? I don't think so. Move for a bit of peace and solitude, and I love it. Rose rolls is for others, says Jack, ex-Luton and proud.
That's the thing. Just because you're on your own doesn't mean you're lonely, and just because you're in a room full of 1,000 people doesn't mean you're in company.
If I was an elderly person at this point and I was happy in my solitude, I'd stick a little post-it on my door and say, I'm all right.
Yeah. I'm all right now.
Jog
Jog on. I've got so many movies and books and albums to watch, read and listen to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to old age.
Yeah, I really am. I'm going to be grumpy, I'm going to be crotchety, and I'm going to catch up on all the films that I've not had. I'm going to catch up on Liam Neeson. So I'm going to catch up on.
Yeah.
That's the plan. That's just the plan. Any more texts, or should we go to the Trav?
School reception opens at 8. Central Bed's website says all schools open. I bet that I'll be at school when they text to say they're closed. I'm supposed to work today. Schools sort it out.
Oh.
Maybe they have sorted it out. Maybe Central Bed's is right.
Let's who is that from?
Anonymous.
Anonymous. Calm down, because you're assuming that the schools will be... You're angry with something that hasn't happened yet. Just go to the schools. You know, it'll be fine, I'm sure. Unless it isn't. In which case, well, you know, take the day off and go and play in the park with the kids. Anything else?
I think that sums it up.
That'll do.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M25 clockwise, 2 lanes are closed between junction 24 for Pottersbar and 25 for Enfield because of an accident. That's causing delays from junction 22 for St Albans. But clockwise on the entry slip road at junction 24 for Pottersbar has now been reopened. Anti-clockwise, it is queuing between junction 26 for Waltham Abbey and 24 for Pottersbar, with people looking over to the other carriageway. And looking at the M1, we've just been told that southbound at junction 11, a car's been broken down. Darren called to say that it's very slow past there. The matrix signs are saying to slow down. On looking at the A413 between Aylesbury and Great Missenden, that's still looking very slow with some ice reported on the road there. And in Amersham on Gore Hill, that's looking very busy between the A413 and London Road as well. On the trains, there are half-hour delays on all services in and out of London Euston because of a signal failure, and also there are possible delays on Thameslink trains between St Albans and Mitcham Junction. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yeah. 7:46 or thence about.
Yeah, it's nearly 7:45. It's gone 7:45.
They've got watches. I've got a watch now to buy a new one. Anyway, that's by the by. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A Hertfordshire council has been criticised for using a private security company to issue litter fines. A judge has condemned a gang of phone scammers who posed as police officers and conned elderly and vulnerable people out of thousands of pounds. And in sport, Milton Keynes Dons teenager Dele Alli has joined Tottenham for a reported 5 million squids. Let's get the weather. Here's Kate.
Beds, hearts and bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. It's chilly out there and we've had a covering of snow, a dusting for some, slightly more in some areas, but there has been some snow showers, and the Met Office has a yellow weather warning in place, valid until 10 o'clock this morning for further snow showers. Not going to see too many, I wouldn't have thought, though, but also ice. We have quite a risk of some icy stretches this morning as the temperature out on the roads is around 0, perhaps even -1, -2, so anything falling or that has fallen is freezing, so it is going to be a very dangerous journey if you're driving this morning, especially on untreated roads and surfaces, so extra care needed. Eventually we'll see fewer showers, and then we'll get some brighter spells this afternoon, but still cold in the northerly breeze. We're looking at a maximum temperature of 5 Celsius. Overnight, some wintry showers expected, particularly after midnight. We could see a few more, and that's when our next Met Office yellow weather warning comes into play. It's valid from midnight through to midnight tomorrow, so we could see 1 or 2 snow showers through the course, particularly for higher ground, the Chilterns, for example, the Downs. Minimum temperature down to -1, which again run the risk of maybe some ice first thing tomorrow morning. So another cold, chilly, icy start to the day tomorrow. Similar sort of day, actually, some wintry showers, but the breeze is going to pick up. It's a northeasterly. It's going to feel very raw by the end of tomorrow. Maximum temperature just 5 Celsius. That's your forecast.
Every weekday from 12.
We're talking to Alice Jones about her journey, which has landed her in the arms of Youthscape.
When I was 5, my dad left our family. It's your first inclination to go, oh, I must have done something naughty.
Nick Coffer.
I was in a really vulnerable place. The people at Youthscape, it is literally their job to show you that they love you and care about you and whatever you're going through.
Every day my job's a privilege, but every once in a while it's an even bigger privilege because I get to meet people like you.
Nick Coffer on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Brian's in High Wycombe. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Iain.
What you got for us, boss?
Well, having reached the age of 80, my wife and a friend decided to go down to Cornwall for a week, and I thought, at last I got a chance to experience a week on my own, undisturbed. And no sooner had Monday come than phone was ringing, are you all right? People knocking at the door. Oh, I brought you this lunch. I was quite happy, I was quite self-sufficient, and
So you'd had 60 years with your beautiful, beautiful, wonderful wife, and I'm sure you enjoyed every second of it.
I've only had 50 years.
Oh, I apologise. She goes away for a week, and you're thinking, yes, quid's in. I can order pizza. I can stay up. I haven't got to pick up my pants off the floor. I can do what I want. And
absolutely.
No one. People wouldn't leave you alone.
No, I kept calling in to see that I'm coping all right. But anyway, back to normal today. I'm looking out of the snow. I've got to drive my wife over to Stoke Mandeville Hospital. And,
blimey.
the roads are nice and clear.
Well, the main roads are
go. Got a hand strapped up. Anyway.
Oh blimey! Well, I hope it's not. I hope they can sort it out. The main road. Catherine, is there anything you wanted to say?
No, I just empathise greatly. You know, when I get an odd weekend where I'm all by myself, I don't like people coming round.
No. Well, Brian, listen, the main roads are clear. The side roads are a little bit snowy, there's a bit of ice, so just drive carefully.
I'll keep to the main roads then.
Yeah, do.
Take care. Ta-ta. Good luck.
Bye, Brian.
He was nice, wasn't he?
Lovely.
Brian.
You're right, you're doing a bit of a dance there. A little bit of a sexy dance.
That was for me.
I don't know, no other way.
08459 455 555. Now, oh yes, look, a hypnotherapist from Bedford who's trained under television star Paul McKenna says he can help you lose weight by making you believe you've had gastric band surgery. Well, Mark Nicholson is on the line now. Let's find out what he does. Morning, Mark.
Good morning, Lee. Ian, how are you?
That's all right. I'm fine, thank you very much. What do you do?
Well, basically, I make, we don't make them. The client believes they've got the hypno band inside the stomach through hypnotherapy.
Right. So, tell me how, for those who don't know a lot about hypnosis, how do you do it?
Well, basically, it's focusing the mind to relax and just, take your time. And it takes a negative to a positive.
Yeah.
It's like... Roger Bannister did the 4-minute mile in 52, probably wrong, around 1950s.
Yeah.
And in that year, people didn't believe he could ever do that or it's possible to be done. But 250 people that year did the 4-minute mile.
Yeah.
So it's all a belief system. So, if you want to lose weight, you're desperate to start smoking or you're not very confident, hypnotherapy, as you see with Paul McKenna and, so many other people, which, Darren Brown and people like that, and making people believe in something which can change their lives in a matter of 20 minutes, 40 minutes.
And what results have you seen, Mark?
The best result was a lady who lost 5 stone in weight.
Blimey.
She came to me. She's adopted when she was put into care home at a very young age.
Yeah.
And she ate from a very young age, and then basically she come to me, regressed, did past life regression with her. And then she lost 5 stone. So, everybody loses.
Now, listen, because I'm a big fan of the hypnotism. I used to work with Paul McKenna, and I used to be one of those idiots that would make people forget the number 7 and think they were Elvis in a completely different, many years ago. But you did, when you said past life regression, you didn't take her back to Bodicea or any of that stuff, did you?
No, I just took her back to her childhood.
Oh, okay, right. Okay, good. Because those people are dodge pots, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, people can read a book and believe that they are the character.
Yeah.
But people who have got problems, you can do age regression.
Yeah.
And timeline therapy, where you go back in their lives, and talk, get the problem addressed in their life.
So it works, and do you know what? I have no problem believing this at all, because I say I used to, I worked with Paul years and years ago. Paul McKenna gave me my first break in television. That's that's how long ago it was, and it can. Why do you think it works, Mark? Why do you think the mind has the power to kind of be tricked like this?
Well, the first thing is. You've got a conscious mind and an unconscious mind, a subconscious mind.
Yeah.
Your unconscious mind will tell you, it will remember everything you've ever done. It's a memory bank. So when you smoke a cigarette...
I've got a memory bank,
Yeah, everybody's got one.
Yeah.
So when you're 14 and you smoke a cigarette and your friends are saying, well, that's a great thing to do. Look how tough you look and how hard you are and the rest of it.
Yeah.
I go back to your, through the critical factor, which is like your bodyguard.
The critical crack?
The critical factor.
Oh, sorry, I used to watch that, yeah.
Oh, my God.
The critical crack, blimey.
Critical factor. Go back to your memory and then release that negative thought and feeling at the time.
Yeah.
And then I can reduce you, stop you smoking, drinking, that type of thing.
Why do you think... Sorry, it's Catherine here.
I know.
Why do you think he doesn't?
Oh, sorry.
He's thinking, I might be a voice from his past.
Might be a voice from the past, the critical crack.
No, the reason I'm asking is, what I wanted to ask was, why do you need to use this imaginary gastric band? Why don't you just program them to not want to eat so much?
That's a good thought, yeah. Well, you can do
Does
both.
it need to be an outside factor? Does it need to make them feel like there's something stopping them rather than themselves?
Well, the actual weight loss for hypnotherapy has been, successful. What it was, a lady went to Spain and she was smoking and she wanted to start smoking with a hypnotherapist over in Spain.
Yeah.
She stopped smoking. A few weeks later, she put on a few months, put a couple of stone on.
Yeah.
And then she said, well, can't you put the gastric band in my mind to say that I've had the band? And they went, yeah, whatever. And then she said, yeah, OK, just try it.
Yeah.
And then she did it. And then, as you've seen the results in the news, the Daily Mail, the BBC television, where people lost 2 stone.
You've got to want to do it, though, Mark, haven't you? You can't. If you're going in going, well, this ain't gonna work. You've got to want it.
I think if you're paying £200 a pop, then you're probably quite committed, aren't you?
Hey, Mark, listen, and I love all this stuff, and I genuinely think it's brilliant. But there's nothing more magical than watching someone forget the number 7. Is there? That was my. And I know I don't mean to demean what you do, because I've got a lot of respect for hypnotists and hypnotherapists, and I know there's a difference. But watching people forget the number 7 is the most magical thing in the world. When they count their fingers and they go 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's brilliant, isn't it, Mark?
Right. Well, yeah, I've done stage shows. I've done 10 stage shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's of course.
It's a really simple display of what you can do with the power of suggestion, isn't it? It's a really obvious display of exactly what you can achieve, I
Mark,
think.
didn't you used to be a salesman?
Yeah, I used to do selling in the past, and that's
If you went back to that now, you could make a killing. You do know that, don't you?
Well, yeah, I actually won a trip to New York thanks to Paul McKenna.
Hey, there we go. He's a nice fella, isn't he?
Yeah, well, his cousin lives in Northamptonshire. I've met her, and she's she lives about 3 miles from me. So
there you go. Well, I'm sure she's a nice lady as well. Mark, listen, I wish you all the very best of luck. Well done, Mark Nicholson, hypnotherapist from Bedford.
If I was a hypnotherapist, I would get up to lots of things.
Okie dokie, there we go. That's why you're not a hypnotherapist.
No, I would, like he said, Paul McKenna sent him to America. I bet he didn't.
That's good for you, Kels. That's very funny. Well done.
I don't get the joke.
Oh.
Nick's, thank you for that, Mark. Excellent stuff. Nick's on the line. Morning, Nick.
Morning, Ian. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, boss. What you got?
Well, you were talking about seeing the elderly generation in their homes.
Yeah.
And when I was at secondary school, early 90s, we used to have this. Our school got rid of one of the GCSEs and called it STS, which stood for Social Technical Studies.
Oh, brilliant! I love it. That's great.
And it meant that we had to go out in our community and do something worthwhile.
Oh yeah.
And me and my friend called Paul, we didn't really know what to do, and we just saw it as a bit of a bunk off.
You saw it as a DOS, of course you did.
And have a couple of fags and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was getting closer and closer to the date that we had to submit something.
Yeah.
So we started knocking on all people's doors, and our game was, if they invited you in and got a cup of tea, we were the winners. And we used to ask them, questions like, we were ever so respectful.
Oh yeah,
it sounds questions like
the fact that you're using them as a point system. Yeah, go on. What did you ask them?
Do you like milk pudding or shredders? Do you remember the heat wave in the 70s? All stuff like that. And then it came to the day we were supposed to submit all of our data, and we didn't have anything.
No,
so
this is surprising. You said a list of people who like milk pudding.
Yeah, and so we went out and we grabbed as many as we could. And we got them all on stage, because it was all done in this hall where we submitted all of our data.
Gosh, this is getting more and more tasteful.
And we got them to sing a rap that we'd written called the Mangle Rap, based on Mrs. Mangle from Neighbours.
What grade did you get for that, Nick?
Oh, I failed.
See, these days, you film it, you take a load of selfies with them, and you get some sort of award. Don't you? You whack it on YouTube.
That is.
It's a touring production.
I don't understand why they were asking them questions about the 70s and then got them to rap about Mrs.
Listen,
Mangle.
if you're elderly and there's a knock at the door from someone who's asking you about milk pudding, do not let them in.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M25 clockwise, there are still long delays from junction 22 for St Albans to junction 25 for Enfield. That's because of the accident earlier. The entry slip road is open again at junction 24 for Pottersbar, but anti-clockwise on the M25, there are still long delays from junction 26 for Waltham Abbey to 24 for Pottersbar, with people looking over to the other carriageway. On the A40 Western Avenue, there are long delays from the Swakeleys roundabout to Gypsy Corner at Acton, and the A41 southbound's looking slow from the Hemel Hempstead turn off towards the M25 as well. On the A1 southbound, it's looking very busy from Kimbolton, the Kimbolton turn off to the Black Cat roundabout through the roadworks, and there are still half an hour delays on all services in and out of London Euston because of a signal failure. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Samantha, excellent stuff. Thank you so much. Genuinely appreciate that a lot. Right, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Coming up, should you save money by eating packed lunches? Ex-military imposing fines, and old people having their doors knocked just to see if they're all right.
Local and vocal across Beds, Herts and Bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines: security guards on litter patrol in Hertfordshire, gang jailed for phone scams, and Milton Keynes Don's teenager completes Tottenham move.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A Hertfordshire council is being criticised for using a private security company to issue litter fines. Broxbourne Borough Council hands out thousands of fines every year for dropping litter or cigarette ends, while neighbouring authorities issue only a handful. Kingdom Security takes a £40 cut from every fine issued. Phil Barton is from Keep Britain Tidy.
People who do litter are most likely to be deterred by believing that they might be caught. What we would not support is a contract which is purely about delivering fixed penalty notices.
A judge has told a gang of phone scammers who posed as police officers that they committed mean and cynical offences which conned elderly and vulnerable people out of thousands of pounds. One 84-year-old woman from Hertfordshire lost more than £20,000. The gang of 5 men were jailed for a total of 17 years. MPs will vote today on a controversial medical procedure which the Anglican and Catholic churches oppose on ethical and safety grounds. There'll be a free vote as to whether or not the DNA of 3 people can be used to create an embryo for an IVF baby. Scientists say this will significantly reduce the chances of inherited life-threatening diseases being passed on. Police in Milton Keynes have released CCTV images after an attempted armed robbery at a Starbucks coffee shop on Saturday evening. The man who had a pistol tried to rob the shop in Eldergate at about 7 p.m, but left empty-handed when the shop assistant refused to hand over cash. A police office in Woburn Sands near Milton Keynes, which is staffed by volunteers, is closing today as the Thames Valley Force tries to save money. Next month, another office in Olney will also close. More from Gail Sanderson.
Thames Valley Police say hardly anyone is turning up at the police information points, which are only open for a couple of hours on a few days a week. The office in Olney is due to close on the 17th of March, and there are plans for a mobile police station to be based there occasionally. The cost-cutting plans also include the closure of 2 non-public facing offices in Bradville and Connyborough. Thames Valley Police say it's already had a cut in its budget of £58 million and will lose another £44 million over the next 3 years.
Anglian Water is cutting bills by 7%. The company say this will mean an annual bill drops by an average of £29. The price change comes into effect from April the 1st. In sport, Milton Keynes Don's teenager Dele Alli has joined Tottenham in a reported £5 million deal, but the 18-year-old will be loaned back to the Dons for the rest of the season. Also ahead of last night's deadline, young non-league striker Kishi Anderson swapped to Bedfordshire Village side for the Premier League. He's left Barton Rovers to join Crystal Palace. The weather, an icy start with occasional sleet and snow showers. Brighter this afternoon, but staying cold in the northerly winds. A maximum temperature 5 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
What a great idea! A shoe built on blocks. I'll call them Blocker Boots. We'll sell 1 million. Blocker Boots, Blocker Boots, Blocker Boots, they're in fashion today. Blocker Boots are neat. They go with your feet. Blocker Boots are so high. They've made 1 million people buy. Blocker Boots, Blocker Boots, Blocker Boots, they're in fashion today. They're in your shops now. It's selling fast. Buy Blocker Boots!
Yep, this show is officially sponsored by Blocker Boots. It's a new direction the BBC is taking. We hope you like it. It's called Jazz Odyssey. This one's written by our bass player. Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Tougher fines if you drop a fag or a little bit of rubbish. There's a security firm doing it in one area. Well, some people are upset by this, and I'm kind of scratching my head as to why. What else else are we talking about, Catherine? I can't remember.
Dropping in on an elderly neighbour. There's a new campaign from Age UK. They want you to do that. Take a selfie, put it on your Facebook profile or your Twitter profile, and then donate.
You've said the two worst words you could involved in the campaign: Twitter and selfie.
Yeah, it's called "Not By My Selfie."
Of course it is. I bet they were all high-fiving around the office when they came up with that one.
Just donate £3.
If you're interested, just donate. You know, and I if you're an older person, let's say over 65, would you be offended if someone came and knocked on your door? You're right.
Would you mind if I take a picture of us? Say cheese.
08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
We got any texts?
Yeah. John in Marsh Farm, not happy. Please don't keep saying the main roads are clear. I've been sat on the Leighton Buzzard to Aylesbury Road for 40 minutes.
Then I apologise.
Would you please publicise this as many times as you can during your shows this morning? Thank you.
Well,
Due to the conditions on the pavements and driveways and the untreated side streets, plus the forecast of further snow this morning, South Bed's Dial-A-Ride will not be operating its Dial-A-Ride service today.
Hey.
Safety must come first.
Hey.
Our public bus services are operating as normal. Thank you, Dave Barrett, General Manager.
Thank you, Dave. Disappointing for lots of people, but you're right, safety must come first.
And also traction control, that's what the TC stands for. In your car. When am I supposed to turn it off?
When the little yellow... Oh, because the little yellow light came on as I did a wheel spin coming out of a petrol station this morning.
You're supposed to turn it out there off before that, are you?
Well, how do I know?
Or is it supposed to be on?
When is it? What is it? And what do I do?
Dave says, you asked what the orange button marked TC in your car does. The TC means Top Cat. It makes your wheels spin when the button's pushed.
Wow.
Fast and furious styling.
OK, thanks, man. I'm going to keep hitting that dial. Is that it?
Maffin Hanslope. What is the fine for schools when they close due to snow? We've not heard of any yet.
What is the
Ask
fine?
The schools.
No, he said, what is the fine?
Yeah.
Well, there isn't a fine.
Many times you've hosted debates on school holidays, Maffin Hanslope. Oh.
Well, Maff, come on, don't be silly. But I do think that schools often are a little bit too keen to close.
Not today, as far as we know.
Not today, as far as we know.
Ask your school or council.
Not us. We're a radio station. We play the hits.
We don't.
No, we don't. We play obscure album tracks from the late 60s, early 70s.
And you will enjoy them.
It's emerged that Broxbourne Borough Council has hired ex-soldiers to catch people dropping cigarette butts, crisp packets, litter. Kingdom Security take a £40 cut of every fine issued, which, when you think they dished out almost 3,500 penalties from 2011 to 2012 and are set to do the same this year, well, it's a nice little earner for them. And it's, by the way, most councils dish out a maximum of 50 litter fines a year, making Broxbourne the 6th biggest fining council in the country. Well, some people are very upset by this and think this is an outrage. I'm kind of scratching my head as to why. Councillor Tim Hutchings is the Cabinet Member for Public and Environmental Protection at Broxbourne Borough Council. Morning, Tim.
Good morning.
What was the thinking behind getting a security company in to take over this?
Well, essentially, it's cost-effective, it works, and we're very happy with it. It doesn't cost us any money, and that's the way we like it.
Does the council make any money from this?
No, not at all. It's cost-neutral, really.
OK.
They get their money from the fines, and we get a bit of that money back to cover administration.
OK, so is there a chance that, because it's a private company and they get all the money from the fines, that perhaps they're a little bit heavy-handed?
Well, there's always that chance, of course, we acknowledge that. But that having been said, very recently, for example, we had a complaint regarding two young men that were getting too many tickets. And we looked into it, and we agreed with that complaint, and we withdrew the tickets. So, you have to monitor these things, but by and large, we think it's successful. It's been going for a few years.
This security company, when they spot someone, do they say, "Oi, pick that up, or you're going to get a fine," or do they slap a fine on immediately?
They should tell them to pick it up. As you might imagine, they don't always get the response they want. People shouldn't be littering. We're spending £1 million a year collecting litter on our streets. It's £1 million we could spend elsewhere much more productively.
And are you surprised that that Broxbourne has had 3,500 fines in a year? Most councils dish out about 50 fines a year.
Well, I don't want to speak for other councils.
But there's a big difference. Are you surprised by that?
No, I'm not. I just think that the company are doing their job properly. As an authority, we're very keen to provide value for money for our taxpayers. We have the lowest tax rate in the country of any English borough council. we've just won a gold award for our cleanliness in our streets. We're still not satisfied. We still want to go further. But if people don't litter, we won't be issuing any tickets.
I'm struggling, Tim, to find a problem with this, because litter is one of my bugbears. Okay, it's annoying, it's ridiculous, and it's completely avoidable.
Well, absolutely. We've got 1,000 bins in the borough. In Hoddesdon High Street, for example, there are 22 bins.
Blimey.
I won't claim that we always manage to empty them as quickly as we would like, but generally we do. There is no excuse. But frankly, if people can't find a place to deposit litter properly, then they should take it home with them.
One tiny problem that I might see, Tim, is the privatisation of the council responsibility. Some people could argue that perhaps is, I'm going to use a horribly cliched phrase, but I can't think of anything better, the thin end of the wedge.
Well, I can understand why some people are concerned about that, but then it's up to authorities to properly monitor it and manage it. When we do get complaints, we need to look into them properly and come to a sensible judgment. As I said earlier, recently we had complaints against 2 young men who have certain problems. We looked into it and we withdrew the tickets and sent an apology. But by and large, actually, we don't get many complaints.
Tim, listen, thank you very much indeed. Good to talk to you. And do you know what? I've struggled all morning to try and come up with an argument against this, and I can't. I think it sounds like a good idea. Don't litter. It's as simple as that. What do you think? And it wasn't the hypnotist. Sorry, it was the another guy we spoke to that tweeted me, not the hypnotist. So ignore that comment, Catherine. I can't really see a problem. I can sort of see people getting worried the privatisation of council responsibilities.
As soon as you start hearing about people who are ex-forces, private security firms patrolling your neighbourhood, you start to worry. But
thank you, Kels.
They're doing the job.
Can I just say, Kelly? By the way, that New York gag. Spot on. Next time you think of something as funny as that, could you just email it to me and I'll say it?
Oh, that old trick.
Like usual?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed. It's just a bit... I'll let you have that one.
I'm meaning to talk to you about that arrangement.
Yes.
I'm not happy with it anymore.
It doesn't matter. That's the deal that we struck.
Well, and I'm always made to sound like a plum, and all the best lines are mine. So, I mean, where's my cut?
Sorry?
My cut.
Your cut. We'll have this conversation off air, but we'll just keep the arrangement that we've got. I'll pay you a penny for every gag at the end of the year, minus any that have been, of course, relied upon my input or those of other nefarious forces. So you actually owe me...
you change it by, like, the or and then you say it's your joke, you wrote it?
You owe me £25.
What?
08459 455 555. I can't see anybody would have a problem with this. It just makes perfect sense.
People who are obsessively litter bugs.
Litterbogging. Oh,
careful!
Yeah, I know.
I nearly did that one again.
We've been there, haven't we? It's just an annoying thing, Put it in your pocket. And it's horrible having an apple core in your pocket. If you don't fancy having an apple core in your pocket, hey, don't go out eating an apple.
You can eat the whole thing.
Yeah, you can. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's disgusting.
You won't grow
the
knob at the end.
What they should do?
Go on.
Chewable cigarette butts, so that once you finish your cigarette, just eat it.
That'll put you off smoking.
Yeah. They should make it like mint, so it turns into chewing gum that freshens your breath.
Make it into chewing gum? Yeah. That is a brilliant idea.
Make it.
Do you want to say it so it's yours?
No, it's not that good.
Oh.
Never worked. Too sticky.
We got any texts?
Yeah.
Well, let's have some of them then.
Oh, you want me to read them?
Yeah. Go on.
So now I'm important.
Weird vibe on the show today. Have you noticed that? Not coming from anybody, not from any tood or anything like that. I've just felt a weird vibe on the show.
I think you might be it.
Oh.
Iain, I totally agree with hitting people in the pocket with regards to litter, says Mark in Bedford in a very long text. Why don't you call us? I don't know. What have we said? 08459 455 555. Yep. I brought my son up to never drop litter. He hands it to me.
Well...
You see, I think that's wrong as well.
Yeah.
Put it in your own pocket so they don't think it's something they have to get rid of.
We're working on that. Yeah.
My van is like a bin until it gets emptied out. If I see someone on the street drop litter, I challenge them. Last week, I saw a teenager walk down the street and pour a chocolate milkshake over the ticket machine. That's not litter, that's vandalism.
That's insania!
I challenged him and asked him why he did it, and all he could say is, sorry, mate. I told him, don't forget, you don't know who's watching you.
Oh, well, don't go around threatening teenagers.
I told him, don't forget you don't know who's watching you. I've been with friends when they've dropped litter and I've made them pick it up. If they ran this nationwide, people would have more respect for their surroundings. Don't know what jobs you would give litter pickers, though. Mark in Bedford.
Is that the end? I was about to say, are we coming to the end of that? Because it was going on a wee bit.
Ring us next time, Mark, because I'd love to hear your beautiful voice say this out loud rather than mine. As would everyone.
Well, I don't know about that. 08459 455 555 is the phone number. Anything else, or should we move on?
Angry text.
Oh, yeah.
Seen it all now.
Uh-oh.
Snowplough going into Aylesbury Prison. Why? Make the tow rags clear their own snow. What about the icy pavements and the pensioners? Blimey, I'm angry today. John Marsh Farm.
John, thank you very much indeed for the anger.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M1 southbound, there's a lane closed at junction 11 for Dunstable Road because the car's broken down. That's causing delays from junction 12 for Flitwick. On the M25 clockwise, 2 lanes are closed just after junction 24 for Potters Bar, and that's still causing delays from junction 21A for St Albans. It's also looking very slow in the opposite direction as well. In Hemel Hempstead on the A41 southbound, it's very slow from Two Waters Road down towards the M25 junction 20 for Kings Langley. The A1 Great North Road's very busy from Station Road at Hempstead towards the Black Cat roundabout, and also on the A421, Mark called to say that between Buckingham to Milton Keynes around Thornborough, it's stop-start at the moment, so we'll have a look what's causing the problem there. On the trains, there are still half-an-hour delays on all services in and out of London Euston because of a signal failure, and Thameslink services still have possible delays between St Albans and Mitcham Junction. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Samantha. Right, it's 8:15. It's Tuesday, the 3rd of February. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A Hertfordshire council is defending using a private security company to issue litter fines. A judge has condemned a gang of phone scammers who posed as police officers and conned elderly and vulnerable people out of thousands of pounds. And in sport, Milton Keynes Dons teenager Dele Alli has joined Tottenham for a reported £5 million.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
My fear is that one day you're going to knock that half pint of water over. Because you do like to play it low and loose.
I do, and I have a terrible habit of chucking drinks all over people.
Really?
Normally red wine.
Let go of it. None of that.
I'm terrible with red wine. Which, considering I've just had gorgeous luxury cream carpet installed...
I can't believe you took the day off work to get carpet installed.
Listen, you say that. I spent most of yesterday lugging furniture from one room to another as they complete it. I had the whole house done.
Yeah, well, exactly. You pay them a little bit extra to do it.
They don't do that. They don't do furniture.
You say to them, lads, listen, 50 quid and a bottle of wine, would that do it?
50 quid and a bottle of wine?
Yeah, of course.
They charge £30 just to shave the bottom of a door off.
You shouldn't have hairy doors, should you?
I should.
Chilly Willy?
Pardon?
Chilly Willy?
Oh, what does that mean?
Well, you look a bit chilly. You've got your scarf on, you've got jerseys.
It's freezing out there. It's absolutely freezing.
Isn't it great? The snow is here
it's
at
not.
last.
I hate the snow. Roll on the summer.
It will make it easier to see your dog's whoopsies.
Well, I went out with the dog this morning in the snow. She enjoyed the snow.
Oh, she did marvellous.
She jumped about like a newborn lamb.
Yeah, well, it's a puppy.
She liked it.
Yeah. What's on the show this morning?
I like this litter story you've been talking about this morning, so we're going to pick up on this morning from 9. I'm going to be asking, do you think Broxbourne Council is taking litter too seriously? As you've been saying, Broxbourne Borough Council have hired ex-soldiers to catch and find people who drop litter. Kingdom Security, who employ the litter-busting veterans, take a £40...
Well, you're pleased with that one, aren't you?
Yeah.
I saw you smiling.
Take a £40 cut of every fine issued. From 2011 to 2012, they issued nearly 3,500 penalties, which could have raised around £140,000 for the private security firm. On average, councils only dish out around 50 litter fines per year.
Yep.
So this means Broxbourne is now the 6th biggest fining council in the country. So from 9 this morning, I'd like your reaction to this. Do you think Broxbourne Council is taking litter too seriously?
You can't take it too seriously. Good job. Well done.
You want more of it, do you?
Well, I do. And I think that the aim of the residents of Broxbourne should be to make this business go out of... this business collapse.
Really?
Yeah, so that they don't... They have to stop issuing fines because people get the message.
SAS snipers in the bushes.
I don't know about snipers, but yeah, they can use swords and karate skills and take people down like that.
Right.
You'd like them tasered up, wouldn't you, of course?
Well, I'll yes.
I hate litter, and it's so avoidable.
Do you do anything about it?
I tidy it up sometimes. I take my boys sometimes and we tidy stuff up.
I've stopped my car in the middle of the road before to shout at people.
Well, that's irresponsible. That's bad driving.
It was two boys walking home from school. And I was driving past, and I saw them drop litter, and I thought, not having this. So I stopped my car.
How old were these boys?
Shouted, 15.
Okay, so he's shouting at children.
So I shouted out the window, "Oi! You have just dropped something!"
Yeah.
At which point they went bright red, because there was quite a line of traffic by this point behind me, because, as you say, I'd irresponsibly blocked the road.
To shout to bully
highway.
some children, yeah.
I said, "You've dropped something, you need to pick it up."
Yeah.
So they went bright red, went back and picked it up. Job done.
I prefer to go a bit more passive-aggressive, you'll be surprised to know.
Yeah.
Oh.
Excuse me, I think you've dropped something. Doing the face.
The only... by the way, this is the rest
Holding
of the show.
small children's hand for safety.
When did you last shout at children? 08459
Not your own.
555. Not your own. I shouted at some children because they were being really rude to a woman. There's a group of kids, and they're about 12, 13, horrible little kids. And there was about 5 or 6 of them. No, there's about 5 or 6 of them, and this woman walked through them, and there was this lad, right? This little lad, he was 12, and he's going up behind, going, "Yeah, come on,
What?
yeah."
He was getting groiny.
He was getting groiny with her. And, anyway, and this woman was, you know, she was in her, I don't know, 30s, 40s, and she was obviously intimidated and kind of lowered her head and walked on. And I pulled up beside them, and I wound and went, "Oi, little bit of respect." And then they started flicking their fingers at me.
Had you stopped the car in the middle of the road?
I pulled over.
Oh, you pulled over.
I pulled over and I shouted at them, and then they started getting sweary with me, and I thought, message made, I'm off. And I was out
That's
there.
told them.
08459 455 555.
You're not a trained veteran.
Sorry, no, exactly.
No,
exactly.
but he does get cockney on people, and that does sort of...
I did cure a cat once.
Okay.
Do you do that when you confront men? Do you get a bit more kind of cockney?
Oh yeah, I turn into my dad.
Because I get more pompous.
Oh, okay, I turn into my dad, and the same. If I'd have had the people laying the carpet yesterday. All right, fellas, you've got yourselves to tea and biscuits. You know,
you'd use that voice.
There's coffee in it's only Nescafe, I'm afraid. Sorry, the espresso's
Do you
down.
remember when we saw that tramp having a wee?
Oh,
I think that's what he was doing.
Oh, he was doing something. Yeah, let's say he was.
He said, "All right, mate, you okay?" Like that.
Yeah. All right, fella. You all right?
He got really kind of David Essex on him.
Ian Lee didn't exist, and Ian Rugby existed. For
I
a
would
brief
have
moment.
said, "You are a disgrace," and you appall me.
He was a sorry sight, that poor lad.
It was a sad state, but I was very defensive of Catherine. I stood in between his penis and Catherine.
Oh, my God.
And, all right, fella, you're all right. What I was saying was, back off, this lady...
So hang on, you found a tramp urinating.
Well...
that's being generous to say.
You went and stood next to him...
He covered
struck up a conversation.
He covered the tramp with himself.
I was defending Kath's already besmirched honour. Shouldn't have bothered.
I've seen far worse than that.
Well,
you should have said, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
You're a disgrace.
He was embarrassed. He was as embarrassed as we were.
He was a crumpled mess, poor lad.
Yes. Anyway, did you remind us what this has got to... I can't remember what your show is.
I have no idea how we got onto this.
Well, you need to be more focused, man.
From 9 this morning, do you think Broxbourne Council is taking litter too seriously?
Every weekday from 3.
Let's talk about your story. They're little globules of it's chocolate. What is that sticking out of that?
That's the abdomen of the ant.
Roberto Peroni.
Film critic Richard Fitzwilliams, welcome to the programme. Richard, will you be watching Rambo 5?
They are unsubtle, they are silly, and they do not appeal.
Overweight people are being ignored, humiliated and insulted on a regular basis.
When you're in the supermarket, people watching what you're picking up and passing comments.
Can I ask you, Claudette, what does it cost to have a cycle of IVF when you decide, well, I have to have children?
It all totaled to nearly £25,000 when you're in such...
I'm sorry, we've got to end that because I've got a guest, I've got a caller, but also Kelly's got... We're asking, ever shouted at someone else's kids? Kelly, you've got 30 seconds to tell us your twist on that.
I've never shouted at someone else's kids, but somebody else's kids have shouted at me.
Ladies and gentlemen, 08459 455 555. We'll talk about phone scamming in about 90 seconds. Before that, Chris is in Sheffield. Morning, Chris.
Good morning, Ian.
Chris, you're the lunatic that paid several millions of pounds to sit in a studio with Justin Dealey, of all people.
Justin Dealey, laying on a beach in Barbados while you were working hard there. Who's the fool?
I think I know the answer to that one.
It's Dealey. Honestly, Dealey had a lobster lunch with Cliff Richard.
Did he?
Yeah, this is a true story.
A lazy lobster lunch.
We've seen the evidence, the ev.
Do you want to hear my Michael Winner story about a lobster?
Probably not.
Oh, go on.
You got 30 seconds, because I've got a guest.
Guy walks into a restaurant and says, "Oh, sorry, so I'd like lobster thermidor." He said, "OK, so I've got one here going cheap with only one claw." He said, "Bring me the winner." No, didn't do it. OK, never mind.
Oh.
We mentioned they've been in a fight. I'm no good at jokes. Anyway, Little story, quickly.
Yeah.
Following a guy the other day in a van, on the phone of all things, makes me mad
Gonna be that
anyway.
good, is it?
Then he starts flicking fag butts him and his mate out the window. I was livid.
Yep.
I just thought, you know what? And unsung heroes, the people up and down the A6 who work for the councils, picking all the litter up. It's a job, but they're doing a fantastic
I think they're...
job. Well done, them.
aren't they prisoners on community service?
Well, if they are, they're doing a fantastic job.
Well done, those guys.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This
I think they're prisoners.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Isn't that community service? If I've done you a disservice, I apologise. Let me know. Now, a gang of phone scammers who posed as police officers and conned elderly and vulnerable people out of thousands of pounds have been jailed for more than 17 years. One 84-year-old woman from Hertfordshire lost more than 20 grand after being contacted every day for 30 days. Well, Anne Ferguson from Ampthill, and you were a victim of a similar scam, weren't you? What happened to you?
Yes, mine was way back in August when I had a phone call one Saturday evening, allegedly from the fraud squad, who told me to ring my bank. Before I rang my bank, I had a phone call from Santander, which is my bank, and I wouldn't speak to them because I said I need to know who I'm speaking to. Don't be offended, I will ring back. So I lifted a little while and rang back, and then I was told that there had been unexplained activity on my account and they needed to cancel my cards, which we went through this system of cancelling. I was told that I would get new cards within 5 days, and that they would then put me back to the fraud squad. They then said that there had been, while I'd been on the phone, somebody had been trying to use, obviously, clone cards, and they needed my cards to compare, and that they were sending a courier. So basically, this call went on for an hour and 20 minutes, and eventually this courier came and collected the cards.
Blimey.
I was very suspicious. I was asked to type in various numbers. I tried to go onto the internet to check, what had gone out of my bank. They told me 2,000 had gone out and actually given me false transactions that they said that people had taken. Anyway, to cut a long story short, in the end, after I'd given these cards, I was suspicious. I immediately phoned the police and was told that the CAD number I had been given, which was the crime number, had been registered as a genuine, crime against me, and that not to worry. And it wasn't until next day when I phoned Santander just to check that I discovered that it was in fact a scam, and that the fraudsters had kept the line open.
So you hadn't spoken to the police at all? You'd still been speaking to the fraudsters?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Blimey.
Yes, and I went through all the security questions.
Yeah.
I had the correct holding music for Santander. There is no way anybody would have not known that they were not talking.
They're very clever, aren't they? How much money did they get, Anne?
For me, 1,400.
Blimey.
I mean, which was enough. But since I've come, I've already spoken to press and TV and everything about this. It's sort of become an ambition to sort of try and stop it.
Yeah, it's they're so devious. And so someone came and collected the card, did they?
Yes.
Deary me.
And I understand that a photo kit was issued way back, because I spoke to you on your programme way back when the photo kit was issued. I have since been in and had an identity session, which was quite difficult because they now do it with photographs, which is very much, it would be very much easier if you saw a full-length picture because you can't see the stature of the person. But I understand that they, from the police, that they have actually, sort of arrested them, but I do not know the outcome of anything more. So whether it's a gang you've been talking about or not, I really have not heard.
Did you get the money back, Anne?
No, I didn't. This is an ongoing problem with Santander. After your programme, they've reviewed it 4 times. In the end, I wrote to the head of Santander, Steve Pateman, having read various interviews that he had given, one of which he says, when he was talking about how he worked, I quote, "I look through the lens of a camera and see what the customer sees and act accordingly." Their slogan is simple, personal and fair. So in a long letter to him, I pointed out how could he possibly be fair when he was the only bank that had not returned money out of the 40 people that had been scammed in Bedfordshire. And I know that all the other banks, including Barclays, HSBC, my friend was done by both of the same gang with both of those, all got their money back.
And what did he say in reply, Anne?
Well, I had a phone call from somebody to say that when he got the letter that he would be contacting me. I waited 4.5 weeks, and basically all I got was more or less a carbon copy of the final decision that they were not going to refund.
And listen, I've got to move on, but well, I was going to say a cracking story, but it's a horrific story, but expertly told, and it must be very frustrating. Anne Ferguson from Ampthill, 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M1 southbound, there's a lane closed at junction 11 for Dunstable Road, which is causing queues from junction 12 for Flitwick because of vehicles broken down there. On the M25 clockwise, 2 lanes are still closed just after junction 24 for Potters Bar, and that's causing delays from junction 21A for St Albans. It's also looking very slow anti-clockwise past that stretch. In Hertford on Mill Bridge, that's looking very busy on the speed sensors at St Andrew Street at Old Cross, and in Stevenage, Hitching Road is stop-start around Ingleside Drive and Corey Mills Lane. In Hemel Hempstead on the A41 southbound, that's very slow between the Hemel Hempstead turn-off and the M25 junction 20 for Kings Langley, and the A413 between Aylesbury and Great Missenden is very slow because of ice on the road, and Mick said that it was causing some problems earlier on. Also, Mark called to say that the A421 between Buckingham and Milton Keynes is very slow around Thornborough and Great Thornwood. And on the trains, there are half-hour delays on all services in and out of London Euston because of a signal failure. Samantha Burrough, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8:30, I'm Simon Oxley. A Hertfordshire council is defending using a private security company to issue litter fines. Broxbourne Borough Council hands out thousands of fines every year for dropping litter or cigarette ends, while neighbouring authorities issue only a handful. A police office in Woburn Sands near Milton Keynes, which is staffed by volunteers, is closing today as the Thames Valley Force tries to save money. Next month, another office in Olney will also close. And Anglian Water is cutting bills by 7%. The companies say this will mean an annual bill drops by an average of £29.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Milton Keynes Dons teenager Dele Alli has joined Tottenham in a reported £5 million deal, but he will still play a part in the Dons League One promotion challenge. The Dons also welcome back a former captain, and there were arrivals at Luton and Stevenage ahead of last night's deadline, as Jeff Doyle reports.
As expected, Dele Alli completed his move to Tottenham for around £5 million plus add-ons, signing a 5.5-year contract. He's been loaned back to MK for the rest of the season. The Dons have also signed former player Keith Andrews on loan from Bolton, having had his Watford loan cut short. Watford midfielder Lewis McGugan has gone back to Sheffield Wednesday on loan. Luton have signed Tottenham's young striker Nathan Aduwa on loan, and Stevenage have loaned QPR winger Bruno Andrade and striker Danny Johnson from Cardiff.
Luton also extended the loan of striker Jayden Stockley, but were unable to complete a third deal last night, despite what the club has described as extensive negotiations. Chelsea's £23 million signing of Colombia winger Juan Cuadrado was the biggest deal yesterday. They sold Germany's Andre Schürrle to Wolfsburg for £22 million. But one of the most amazing transfers last night saw young striker Keishi Anderson swap a Bedfordshire Village side for the Premier League. He's left Barton Rovers in the Southern League Division 1 Central to join Crystal Palace, a move of 7 divisions up the football pyramid for an undisclosed fee. Barton's chairman is Darren Wiley.
Crystal Palace weren't the only big club that was in for him. Norwich were looking at him. Brentford is where it all came about last week. We got him a trial down there. He came off the bench on 65 minutes and scored a perfect hat-trick in 6 minutes. It was against Crystal Palace, which highlighted them to him.
Elsewhere, Watford have successfully appealed against Gabriel Angela's controversial red card in the first minute of Friday night's defeat at Bournemouth. It means he can play at home to Blackburn on Saturday. Tonight's FA Cup fourth-round replays include Manchester United versus Cambridge, and in Conference South, Hemel Hempstead are at home to Wealdstone. BBC Three Counties News and Sports. The next full bulletin is at 9.
I'm being swallowed by a boa constrictor. I'm being swallowed by a boa constrictor. I'm being swallowed by a boa constrictor. And I don't like it very much. Oh no, he swallowed my toe, he swallowed my toe. Oh gee, he's up to my knee, he's up to my knee. Oh fiddle, he's reached my middle, he's reached my middle. Oh heck, he's up to my neck, he's up to my neck. Oh
Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Now, you may remember on the 27th of January, we spoke to a dad, Robert Smith, who hasn't seen his kids on his own for a couple of years, and he had got arrested and charged because he had there was a restraining order on approaching his wife, and he had stood and addressed her via a megaphone, and he came on and told us his story, and I thought that was the end of that. And then I noticed on the Facebook page, facebook.com/BBC3CR, a gentleman called Paul Manning was seemed to have taken issue with part of the interview. He's posted on there. He's called me a coward, spoken about freedom of speech, was quite rude. And I thought, well, the best thing to do, instead of engaging like a couple of 15-year-old schoolgirls on Facebook, is to invite him on the show. And Paul's come on the show. Morning, Paul.
Morning, Ian.
Paul, what's your beef?
My beef is Bobby Smith's beef, actually. I've spoken to Bobby since he had his interview with you.
Yeah. I don't want to know Bobby's beef because he's not here. What's your problem? Why are you being rude about me on Facebook?
I can't address the situation unless I speak about Bobby.
Well, you can do, but he's not here, Paul. Now, you took issue with me on Facebook. What did you take issue with?
Are you going to hear me out, Ian?
But Paul, listen, we've got to play by rules. But Robert isn't here. You took issue with me on Facebook. I'd like to hear what your issue is.
If you're not going to allow me to speak about Bobby Smith, then I can't answer your question. That's logical, isn't it?
Yeah, but no, it's not logical, Paul, because you had issue on Facebook. The issue was something that you had. Would you like to address that?
Yes, I can, but I can only address that because it concerns what you said to Bobby Smith.
OK, carry on then.
You said the statement to Bobby Smith, and I quote verbatim, you said, there must be a reason given by the courts that you're not allowed to see your kids. Now, as far as I can see, having spoken to Bobby,
Paul, listen, I'm going to be really strict on this. Robert isn't here. I only have your word. You've spoken to him. You took issue with...
You have to accept my word because Bobby's a...
I don't have to, Paul. You took issue with me on Facebook. That's what this is all about. Well, what was your issue?
It seems to me, Ian, that you're being unreasonable because you won't allow me to refer you...
I tell you what. Let's have a listen. Let's have a listen to that audio, shall we?
Yes, I can tell you that's exactly what you said.
OK, well, let's have a listen to it. OK, here we go.
Now, parents don't like being threatened with fines for taking their...
Hang on a second, let me find it. I'm doing this on my phone because we couldn't find the audio on the computer, but it's at 2...
They have 7,000 mum... Yeah, I think they used to be members of years ago.
OK, so this is Robert Smith, OK?
OK. So on the day...
Gone off route a bit.
Right, on the day in question...
Yeah?
You were stood there with a megaphone...
Yeah.
Shouting into it. What were you trying to achieve?
Well, about just over a week before, I spoke to the Prime Minister at his house, and he made it quite clear that he's not interested in my case or any cases or addressing the laws.
What do you mean you spoke to the Prime Minister at his house?
Outside his house. I spoke to him about father's rights and family law.
David Cameron?
Yeah.
OK.
Right, and for him, this is 3.5 years into my court case.
Yeah.
And he'd made it quite clear that he's not interested in reforming family law or even looking at it or helping me out. And my children hadn't seen me for years, so I decided that...
Here we go.
That I needed to make sure they knew I still loved them.
Yeah. So. Why have you not seen your kids for years?
It's nothing I've done. It's just what the process is. I mean, I'm not by far the only person in the country who's gone through this. People have been going through it a long time before I was a father.
But there must be a reason given in court that you're not allowed to see your kids.
It's not that I'm not allowed to see the children. There's nothing to stop me seeing the children.
That's the part. All right, Paul, let him speak.
There's been no order made to make...
OK, I'm sorry I was playing it off my telephone. We had a bit of a problem with the computers here.
But Ian, if you're not going to allow me to address...
No, Paul, listen, you know what you're talking about, I think. I do. I just want to make sure that the listener does. OK, so what's your problem with that?
Your problem is the expression, there must be a reason given by the courts that you're not allowed to see your kids, is a knee-jerk presumption that suggests that most fathers who are not seeing their children have done something wrong. I happen to be one of those fathers who have been fighting to see
Here we go.
4 years.
Here we go. And this is what you're angry about, is the fact that you can't see your kids.
I'm not angry. I'm angry on Bobby's behalf, and Bobby is angry too.
Well, Bobby wasn't angry during the interview.
Paul. If he's angry afterwards...
He wasn't angry during the interview.
No, he wasn't angry until I suggest someone may have stirred him up a little bit. Listen, the thing is...
Iain, you're not going to allow me to talk.
Paul, I'm going to allow you to talk, but I'm going to... Paul...
on me if you want.
No, I'm not. I don't put the phone down. I'm here till 9 o'clock. You can stay till the end if you want, brother. I'm not fussed, but I'm going to defend myself, OK? I'm not... By the way, I'm not...
Why did you think that he must have done something wrong? Why couldn't you have put it... Why didn't you ask him... Have the court said that you couldn't see your children? Rather than using the expression, there must be a reason... Why did you say there must be a reason?
Because, Paul, if you listen carefully, it's interesting that out of a whole 10-minute interview, you've picked one line, you've picked one thing that's upset you. You've not picked any...
It's not upset me, it's upset Bobby.
Well, no, Paul, listen, I can hear that you're upset, and your first Facebook post, which I deleted, not Facebook, because I thought it was rude, and I didn't want you to bring my...
In what way was it rude, Bobby? Sorry, in what way was it rude, Iain?
I didn't want my children brought into it, Paul. I thought that was disrespectful, and I thought that was unnecessary.
You're making that up. I didn't refer to your children at all.
Yes, you did, Paul. In the first post, you referred to my children.
Iain, why are you lying?
Paul, I'm not lying.
Paul, now you're lying.
Paul, let me... Paul, listen.
This is a typical Iain Lee that has been complained about time and time after
Here we
time.
go. Someone's been on the internet. Well done. You mentioned my kids, Paul. You said, I hope that you're never put in this position where you can't see your kids.
I wasn't mentioning your kids.
You said, I hope you're never put in this position where you don't get to see your kids.
I never said that at all. I haven't been in front of me what I said to you.
Read it out, Paul. Read it out.
I said, I hope you never have to go to the family courts because your wife will have more rights than you will have. I didn't refer to your children at all.
Paul, we're arguing in semantics. Listen, the whole 10-minute interview, I was...
You do understand English, don't you, Iain?
Do you see what I mean? Paul,
Paul, making things up when I didn't refer to your children.
Paul, listen,
falling out over this, can't we just have a sensible discussion?
I don't think we can, Paul, because you're doing yourself no favours. Now, listen, the whole 10-minute interview, first of all, we did 3 hits on Robert's story, OK? We did 3 hits on it, which is quite a lot, OK? So we were obviously interested. The 10-minute interview, and I listened to it last night, I was interested, I was concerned, and the majority of it was finding out what was going on, asking him how it affected him, and even, dare I say, even offering a few suggestions on ways that he can make things easier for him.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
In the future. And you've picked out one thing that was a question that was a question not of nastiness, not of intent, not of insinuation, but of incredulity.
Do you know
incredulity, Paul.
I have no problem with the rest of your interview. And
I'm so glad, Paul.
Are you going to continue to interrupt me? Are
you going to continue to be rude and obnoxious, Paul?
I'm not rude and obnoxious at all. I'm a very reasonable guy.
I will let the listener decide. Continue, Mr. Manning.
But you said there must be a reason given by the courts that you don't see your kids. Now, that type of reaction we fathers get all the time, as though we've harmed our...
incredulity, Paul. There was... You have read an implication in there that may have been made towards you. There was no implication. There was no insinuation. It was incredulity, Paul.
I'm in touch with Bobby Smith most days, and I said to Bobby, were you offended by that? He said, yes, it's the same old thing, Paul.
Okay.
We fathers get accused of
doing
Paul,
listen,
our children when it's not true.
Nah.
All I can tell you is this.
Paul, listen, I've played the clip out. I think most right-minded people have known that there was no accusation there. There's no need to go on the internet and hint at my children. There's no need to go on the internet and call...
your children.
There's no need to go on the internet and call me a coward.
I do believe you are a coward.
In what way am I a coward?
Because you tend to, whenever people don't agree with you, Iain, the first thing you do, and you're supposed to be a journalist...
I'm not a journalist, Paul. I'll stop you there, mate. I'm not a journalist. I'm just a bloke. I've not got the skills or intelligence to be a journalist.
Well, your job description as a radio DJ is one of a journalist.
A DJ... Paul, listen, mate, you're clutching at straws. I'm not a journalist. There are journalists in this building, and I bow at their knowledge and their ability to hunt down and sniff a story. I'm just a bloke. A DJ, which I'm not either, is a disc jockey. That's someone who makes records play on a record player.
Well, I don't want to discuss the semantics about
but it's very important when you're accusing me of being a journalist.
On the radio, you would think that you would allow some kind of freedom of speech when people disagree with you.
Paul, there's no such thing as freedom of speech. Are you listening a lot to us from Scotland?
Oh, I listen to your programme occasionally.
I suggest you listen to BBC Scotland.
When I want to have a laugh and a bit of a joke, I'll listen to you, Iain.
And I know that's meant as a dig, Paul, but I take that as a great compliment. Listen.
Well, I hope you do, mate. I hope you do.
And there's that tone again. Paul, listen, I'm going to let you have the last word. You've got 30 seconds. Away you go, fella.
I just want to say to the great British public out there that of all the cases that go to the family courts, out of 95% of the cases, mum gets the kids. Only 5% of fathers who end up in the family courts actually end up with custody of their children. And I'd like to ask people, why is that so? That if we're supposed to be all equal, mothers and fathers, why is it mothers are getting custody of the children as opposed to the fathers? Now, that's a statistic that doesn't wash with me. And too many fathers are heartbroken, and I'm one of them.
Do you know what, Paul?
Bobby Smith, at not seeing their children.
Paul, I'm going to interrupt now. You've been on the radio. How long has you been on the radio for? 7 minutes? 8 minutes?
I don't know, but you're welcome to cut me off.
I'm not going to cut you off, Paul. I'm going to go to the travel in a minute. If you want to stick around, you can, but I'm finding it a little bit boring. You've had 8 minutes on the radio, OK? You spent 30 seconds talking about a really important issue. You spent 7.5 minutes arguing semantics and putting down a bloke who used to be on the telly. Do you not see that maybe you got your priorities a little bit wrong?
What have I put down?
Well, you've been rude about me, Paul.
I don't recall being rude about you.
Okay,
I just have an opinion about you, Ian.
And it's a very aggressive opinion.
I'm sorry, I'm not an aggressive person. I'm a pacifist at heart.
I don't believe that for a second, Paul. Having researched you myself, sir. Now listen, you've had 8 minutes, 7.5 minutes. You've been having a pop at a BBC local radio presenter. 30 seconds.
Well, you're worthy of having a pop-off. A pop-off, aren't you, Ian, really?
You've spent 30 seconds putting forward what should have been the main thrust of your point of view.
The main thrust of my point of view is that you offended a friend of mine.
And where is he? Why is he not? If Robert wants to come on, he's more than welcome.
He'll tell you the same.
OK, fine. Paul, listen, are we done?
As far as we're waiting for you to cut me off, which is what you usually do to people here.
Paul, I'm not going to cut you off. Listen, I'm here until 9 o'clock. Do you want to stick around to the end?
Oh, yeah, I'll stick around.
Do you want to take some phone calls, Paul?
Sure, yes, yeah.
08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There are queues on the M1 southbound from junction 12 for Flitwick to junction 11 for Dunstable Road after the vehicle was broken down earlier, which closed the lane. It has reopened, but it's still very slow through there. On the M25 clockwise, 2 lanes are still closed just after junction 24 for Potters Bar, with queues from junction 20 for Kings Langley. And in Stevenage on Hitchin Road, that's stop-start around Ingleside Drive. In Upper Sundon Harlington Road, there's been an accident at Straightley Road. And in Amersham, looking at the speed sensors on Gore Hill, that's looking very slow between the A413 and the A40 London Road. On the A421 between Buckingham and Milton Keynes, being told that that's very slow around Thornborough and Great Thornwood. And on the trains, there are half-hour delays on all services in and out of London Euston because of a signal failure. There's also 35-minute delays on trains between Luton and Blackfriars. That's because the train's broken down at St Pancras. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Samantha. Listen, we'll keep Paul on. I don't cut people off. I tend to do it for technical reasons and for time reasons, but Paul's on, and maybe I've been harsh to Mr. Manning. If you think so, 08459 455 555. Before that, though, let's get the news. A Hertfordshire council is defending using a private security company to issue litter fines. A police office in Woburn Sands near Milton Keynes, which is staffed by volunteers, is closing today as the Thames Valley Force tries to save money. And in sport, Milton Keynes Don's teenager, Dele Alli, has completed his move to Tottenham. More of Mr. Manning and maybe your calls after the weather with Kate.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. It's chilly out there this morning and we've had a slight covering of snow, some more than others and some just a dusting, but there has been some snow showers overnight, and the Met Office weather warning still applies for many of us until 10 o'clock for snow and ice. Now, if you haven't got the snow, you have got the ice. The temperature down on the road is around 0 -1, so anything that fell to the ground is frozen, so it is a very cold, slippery, icy start to the day. Now, the showers could continue on and off, actually, for us, particularly over higher ground, but we should get some bright spells and temperatures at around 5 Celsius. Now, overnight, further showers are expected, probably after midnight, becoming a little more frequent, especially over higher ground, places like the Chilterns, the Downs, for example. And the Met Office has their next weather warning in force. It's a yellow one for snow from midnight through to midnight tomorrow. The minimum temperature down to -1, so ice also a risk as we head through to Wednesday morning. It's a similar day tomorrow, but the wind starts to freshen again, coming from the north, the northeast, so it's going to feel bitterly cold by the end of tomorrow, and that's your forecast.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
So, story last week, the 27th, speaking to Robert Smith, who's not allowed to see his kids. Very sad, tragic story. I thought the interview went very well. I thought it was handled sensitively. It was probing, but respectful. And in my, even I came up with a few suggestions and maybe things that Mr. Smith could do to make things a little bit easier. Well, Paul Manning took great offence at that, and we had a little bit of, we had a little beef on Facebook, didn't we, Paul?
Listen, can I just say something about that, about your interview? I thought it was a good interview.
It was brilliant, actually.
And I thought you'd give him a fair crack at the whip.
I did. It was a great interview. I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, I'm not being sarcastic, I'm being totally honest.
No, so am I. I'm genuine. I thought it was a great interview.
And even Bobby says that you gave him a fair crack at the whip. I'm only pointing one thing out, and that was your tendency to say that he must have done something.
Didn't say that.
Do you want me to read out exactly?
Yeah, I do, because you're saying I said he must have done something wrong. Read it out again, the quote, please, Paul.
Your quote is, quote, there must be a reason given by the courts that you're not allowed to see your kids.
So that's not me saying you must have done something wrong.
Yes, it is. There must be a reason.
Paul took
Ian, but that's what the English language says. There must be a reason.
Paul.
Surely
Paul took to Facebook to call me a coward, to criticise my credentials as a journalist. Joe's on the line. Morning, Joe.
Good morning.
Am I completely out of order here, Joe?
No, I would say you're not.
Speak to Paul.
Morning, Paul.
Morning, Joe. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Now, I would, if I heard that question, it's the way that it's put is not offensive. It's more of an inquisitive nature to get an answer to a question. It's, well, how do you put it? It's the context is irrelevant. It's what you're looking for. It's the right answer, rather than me turning around and saying, "Oh, it's obvious you've done something wrong." He's asked it in an inquisitive way of saying, "Well, surely there must be a reason," not saying that you've done something.
Well put, Joe. Well, because that's exactly what Iain said. There must be a reason given by the courts that you're not allowed. That's a presumption. And I don't like presumptions when we're talking about...
Joe, am I right?
I'll be perfectly honest. I'm in the same situation where I can't see my son. But if I was at the end of that question, I wouldn't have found it offensive. I'd have thought, well, 9 out of 10 times... there could be a reason, but it doesn't mean to say that there is.
And if I ask too much, then let me know. Is the reason you can't see your kids, is that because of something that's been ruled in court?
That's better.
No. Paul, I'm not talking to you, mate. I'm talking to Joe. Paul, stop it. I'm talking to Joe. Is there a reason why, by the courts, why you can't see your kids?
No, there isn't.
Okay. So
now, I could give you a very brief detail in 30 seconds. Okay. I did take my partner to court to see my child, but because I didn't have enough money, I couldn't go through with it. But what the court did rule is that I could have indirect contact with my son because my ex-partner used the abuse card, but there was no evidence to support this, but the courts have to take the child's protection into interest.
Paul, let him speak.
Joe,
Paul, this isn't about you, mate. This is about Joe. Let him speak. Paul,
with Joe there, Ian.
Paul, this is not about you. Let him speak. Joe, that must be really tough for you not being able to... How many kids have you got, Joe?
I've got one with my ex-partner, and I have a daughter of my own with my new partner.
It must be very tough. I can't, as I say, I've got 2 boys. I can't even begin to imagine what that's like.
It's difficult for me on birthdays and Christmas, but what upsets me the most is that my daughter has a brother that she can't see because of my ex-partner. So that's what upsets me the most. My feelings aside, my daughter misses out as well.
Joe, I really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you, mate.
No, thank you for having me on.
Thank you very much.
Joe.
Let's go to Iain. Morning, Iain.
Morning, Iain. Morning, Paul. Morning. Paul is no DJ, mate. This guy, Iain Lee, is no David Guetta, I tell you that. Now, some of the music he plays is really rough. Really rough. You want to listen to the first hour of the show, mate?
I don't know what to say about that. What was your first name again?
His name's Iain. Thank you for that, Iain. That's not particularly helpful. Paul, listen. Whatever I thought about someone, if I didn't like an interview, I wouldn't go trolling them online and calling them a coward. So, listen.
Does that upset you, Iain?
No, I'm not. I just think it's a little bit mean, Paul. A little bit mean-spirited.
Well, I do believe that you are a bit of a coward, Iain, unfortunately.
Well, tell me why you think I'm a coward, Paul.
Because having researched you and the bacon sandwich issue and what you say about members of Parliament when they don't have the right to speak back to you when they're not there.
You're talking about me saying Ed Miliband didn't look like a Prime Minister.
Yeah, you said all sorts of remarks that I like Ed Miliband, so
I don't want to, Paul. I'm not discussing politics, mate. I got no.
You want to discuss? Well, that's that then, Iain.
Well, I'm not allowed to discuss politics because I don't know if you know there's an election coming up, and also the fact that I said Ed Miliband may or may not look like a Prime Minister is irrelevant.
Well,
why am I a coward? Why am I a coward, Paul?
You said other things as well, though, didn't you, Iain, about him?
What did I say, Paul?
Well, it's there on your complaints form if anybody wants to.
Well, why don't you tell me what I said about him?
Well, I don't have the details in front of me. I can't remember.
You're making reference to the fact that someone complained that I made a reference about Ed Miliband eating a bacon sandwich, and someone made a complaint about him being. Someone made Paul. Someone made a complaint about saying it was anti-Semitic. That complaint, if I remember correctly,
it was upheld by the BBC.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't, mate.
It was. Yeah.
No, Paul, that one wasn't. I'm afraid. You got that one, Paul. You've got that one wrong. The one about the bacon sandwich was not upheld, so you're wrong there, and I accept the apology.
The one about the bacon sandwich.
That's the one we're talking about. Steve's in Luton. Good morning, Steve.
Morning, Iain.
What would you like to say to Paul?
I'd like to say, surprisingly, I think you were very polite, and if you listen to your tone of voice and how you phrased it, I think you were being genuinely concerned about why. Also, I'd be really interested. We haven't found out why Paul isn't allowed to see his kids. I'd be interested to know why. I feel sorry for the bloke, obviously.
Can I answer there, Iain?
Yeah, of course you can. He's asked you a question.
I used to be the main carer of my son right from birth, but my ex-partner decided she wanted to end our relationship and go and be with someone else. For whatever reasons. But I love my son and still do. I was his main carer from the date of birth, but once she decided she wanted to get rid of me, it was an easy matter for her to go to the family court, tell a pack of lies, and before you know it...
and Paul, I'm really sorry to hear that. And do you know what? I really think that underneath all of this bravado and this bluster and this puff, that you're a decent bloke that's been...
I am a decent bloke, and if once you get to know me, we'll go for a pub for a pint one day.
Never going to happen. But I feel sorry for you, Paul. I just think that you're focusing your anger at the wrong people.
I don't have much anger in my life.
OK. Pete, what would you like to say, Pete?
Pete, thank you.
I'd like to say that it's the first time I've listened to your show, and I think that you're very unprofessional.
Thank you, Pete. Tell me why.
Because you're saying stuff like, I feel sorry for you, underneath your bravado, which is all...
Well, there was obviously something with Pete.
If you don't mind, because I phoned up just...
No, I do mind, Pete, because you phoned up before... You phoned up before...
Let me make my point.
I will do, but you phoned up before I'd said that, Pete. You phoned up before I'd said that, Pete. So what was the thing that you heard that caused you to phone up?
This is... I know, because it's actually... The overall point I'm trying to make is that I think a lot of the things you say are provocative.
Yeah, that's my job. Yeah. That's my job.
No, your job... Not just because I think it's provocative, but the way you say it's provocative.
Yeah.
But actually, you're trying to put it across as being really fair. So when you say things like "I feel sorry for you" underneath your bravado, actually you're trying to come across as saying the nice, right thing.
No, I feel sorry.
That is deliberately
Pete. No, Pete. How is that going to answer? I feel sorry for Paul. He can't see his kids under his bravado and his loud voice. I feel sorry for him.
No, but you're saying you're mentioning. Like underneath your anger.
Yeah, he's very angry, Pete.
This is clearly going to provoke someone.
Well, that didn't provoke Paul. He invited me out for a pint after it, Pete.
He's going to make them not relax.
After I said that, he invited me out for a pint. So you're wrong. But I appreciate your call.
In reply, what did you say to that? Never going to happen.
Well, no, I don't want to go out for a drink with him. What do you want me to say? Yeah, OK, let's meet up in your local boozer in Scotland. Pete, is it the first time you've listened?
It is.
I suggest it's not for you. I suggest it's not for you, mate. Thanks for calling. Ta-ta.
Iain,
Paul, you got 20 seconds. Paul, the last 20 seconds is yours, and I've got to end the show.
I don't want to fall out. I just want to say that there's a very, very serious side to this. All joking aside...
I've not been joking once, Paul. You've got 15 seconds and I've got to end the show.
There's fathers out there who are not seeing their children, and most of them have not done anything wrong. They've just been ousted from their children's lives. The courts need changing, and they...
You've got 10 seconds and I've got to end the show, and that's not me cutting you off. I've got to do it because the next guy's coming in.
You can't go on all day, can you?
Well, I could if I had enough time. Paul, thank you very much. I think maybe we've highlighted an issue. I hope.
I think the act of...
Oh, hang on a second. We don't want that. We want this.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The M1 southbound is still very slow around Junction 11 for Dunstable Road, but it has all reopened after the breakdown there earlier. On the M25 clockwise, 2 lanes are closed just after Junction 24 for Potters Bar. That's causing delays from Kings Langley. And the M11 northbound's very slow between Junction 7 for Harlow and 8 for Bishop Stortford because of an accident, but it's now been moved to the hard shoulder. In Stevenage on Hitchin Road, it's stop-start around Ingleside Drive. And in Upper Sundon, there's been an accident on Harlington Road at Streetley Road. In Barton Nicklay on the A6 Luton Road, there are queues between Luton Road and Enterprise Way looking at the speed sensors, and the A421 eastbound still has queues between Bridge Street and Steinbeck Crescent because of the ice on the road. Samantha Breath, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Samantha. Thank you for your indulgence, dear listener. A lot of sad stories that, maybe we should have focused on more. Normal service resumes tomorrow. Ta-ta.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Iain. Good morning. Welcome to the JVS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon Smith. It's Tuesday, it's 9 o'clock, and on today's Big Phone In...